Welcome to ESPN2's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week. Ah, 'tis the season when you're everywhere at once. And then, all at once, it opens. A window to unwind from the rush. Some time to cherish and to cheer. And if you couldn't get there, stay here with us. The South Florida Bulls against the NC State Wolfpack. Bowl Week across America rolls on. This holiday trip is for you.
The Wolfpack are on the prowl here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it is a running of the Bulls at Bank of America Stadium. It's the Meineke Car Care Bowl featuring two schools with plenty of reasons to toast 2005. It's the South Florida Bulls playing in their first ever bowl game against the team that ended their season red hot, the ACC's NC State Wolfpack. So glad you could join us here for the Meineke Car Care Bowl alongside my partner, Andre Ware. I'm Eric Collins. Heather Cox, Heather Mitz will join us in just a couple of moments. We're so excited that you could join us because, folks, we think this is going to be a fantastic game. NC State, they began the season with such high expectations, but coming out of the gate, Andre, they stubbed their toe. They're just 2-4 in their first half dozen games. But they made some midseason changes, and recently they've been stoning their opponents.
Yeah, and that main stone is Marcus Stone, their sophomore quarterback that they inserted into the lineup about midseason. They've gone 4-1 since he became the starter. He adds the spark that they needed offensively. He can make plays with his legs. He likes to take the ball downfield with that big arm that he has possessed. You see there, just throwing strikes against most of his opponents. You look at it, he gets off to slow starts, only 24% in the first half, but he gets hot 60% in the second half. On the other side of the football, Mario Williams and Manny Lawson. Mario Williams was still awaiting whether he'll declare for the NFL draft. Just a tremendous talent. And Manny Lawson, he can both bring it from the outside. Two big-time defensive ends that'll go very high in the NFL draft this year.
Talk about a handful for the South Florida Bulls. Now, South Florida, typical case of a phoenix rising out of the ashes. 10 years ago, football didn't even exist on their campus. Now, 9 years later, they're getting ready to play their 100th game in school history, and it just so happens to be their first bowl game in school history.
It's their first bowl game, but it certainly won't be their last. Jim Leavitt has done an outstanding job of building this program from the bottom up. They're now in a big-time conference in the Big East. Their best football player, Andre Hall, led the Big East in rushing this season. They're 5-0 when he runs for 100 yards or more. So they'll want to get him the football early and often throughout this football game.
We're getting ready to go. Both teams are on the field, getting ready to kick off the 2005 Meineke Car Care Bowl. This is the fourth year of this event here in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina. NC State, they will receive. USF actually won the toss, and they chose to defer. And the kickoff. High, deep, into the end zone, and it'll be a touchback. The ball will be spotted on the 20-yard line. Darrell Blackman, one of the best returners in the country, decided not to chance it. Offensively, leading the charge, Marcus Stone is their quarterback. And around Raleigh, North Carolina, what they're saying, a rolling stone garners just one loss. He had just one loss since coming over as the starting quarterback. He's now 4-1 in 5 starts.
Yeah, he's really been tremendous. We talked about it in the open. Just a slow starter. Only 24% completion percentage in the first half of football games that he started. He saves his best for last, though, Eric. 60% in the second half.
NC State, they'll start off with 2 tight ends in the game. Andre Brown deep in the backfield. He has the football. First carry for the freshman. Rumbles off the right side, picks up 5 yards. NC State offensively, this is the way they line up. We'll see both Andre Brown and Tony Baker in the backfield. Hall and Clark, lots of speed there. And those 2 tight ends we're talking about, Williams and Hill, big parts of the offense. Changes on the offensive line could be a big deal. Leroy Harris is a tremendous center. He's got a bad hand. Today he's playing left guard, and John McCune moves over from the guard spot and he is now the center. Andre, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it really is. They spent most of the season early struggling along the offensive line, really wasn't running the football well. They got that shirt up, got Andre Brown in the lineup, and they've been on pace ever since.
Inside handoff. Brown has it again, refusing to go down. He gets close to first down yards. May have to measure it out. South Florida defensively, this is how they line up. Terrence Royal, he's their bell cow on the defensive line. He's an aggressive playmaker with a tremendous motor. He's got 7 sacks. Linebacker spots, Stephen Nicholas, Ben Moffitt, he's their leading tackler, and Patrick St. Louis are the 3 backers. In the defensive backfield, 2 sophomores at the corners with all sorts of talent. Trey Williams and Mike Jenkins, maybe the best at South Florida when it's all said and done.
Yeah, 2 sophomores that anchor the corner positions for the South Florida Bulls. They're 2 good ones, really good in man-to-man coverage.
They did indeed get enough for a first down. So a fresh set of downs for the Wolfpack of NC State, but a flag flies.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
This is a Big Ten officiating crew. You just saw Dennis Lipsky, the referee for today's game. We apologize for you folks trying to watch this game in high-definition television. We are having technical problems. We are trying to sort those out, and we hope to have this broadcast coming your way in HD TV momentarily. After the loss of 5, pitch out goes to Brown. Left side this time, room to run. He's finally tripped up, but not before he picks up 10 yards on the run.
Boy, it certainly doesn't. The shift in the offensive line hadn't hurt so far. Andre Brown, you see him here just trying to get to the outside. Freeze it right here. Big left tackle creates a big alley for Andre Brown to run through. And all of a sudden, he's north and south in a hurry. He doesn't waste much movement. He likes to assert himself, get into defenders. He will challenge you all game long.
3 receivers lined up to the left. Now motion to the right. 4 consecutive carries. They start off on the ground and not much doing there on second down. It'll bring up a 3rd down at about 4. There's Chuck Amato. Played for the NC State Wolfpack back in the 60s. This is his 5th bowl game with his alma mater. 3-1 in the first 4. He actually was on the field the very first time that NC State won a bowl game back in the 1967 Liberty Bowl as a linebacker.
An aggressive-minded coach. He'll come after you on defense, and he'll attack you on offense through the running game.
3rd down and 4. Stone wants to throw. Under pressure, steps out, throws, and it's dropped. Would have been enough for first down yards, but Tremaine Hall drops the football.
And you know, we talk about Marcus Stone struggling early. His receivers have to help him as well. Tremaine Hall wide open. You see him here. He's going to get blitz from the backside or pressure from the backside from number 99. And then all of a sudden he steps out of it and makes a heck of an athletic play to get the football to Tremaine Hall. But then he puts it on the ground. South Florida ready to take over and do business.
John Duraney averaging 40 yards a punt, boots it away. On one hop, it is fielded by Jackie Chambers. And Chambers is spun down at about the 33-yard line. A punt of 43 yards, a return of 10. We'll take a timeout. We're scoreless, just getting started here at the Meineke Car Care Bowl. Welcome back, everyone. First series on offense for the South Florida Bulls, and they give it to their stud, Andre Hall. Left side gets to the 35-yard line before Stephen Tulloch brings him down. Let's take a look at the offense for the South Florida Bulls. This is how they line up. Just saw Andre Hall with the carry. He's the all-time leading rusher in South Florida history. Jackson and Chambers are the main receivers. S.J. Green is the possession guy, and Derek Carter doesn't get a lot of passes thrown to him as the tight end. Big change up front at left tackle. Jerome Springfield gets the surprise start. He replaces all-conference performer Frederick Watson, who will play today, but he's not starting for disciplinary reasons. So we will see how Jerome Springfield is able to handle that solid defensive line for NC State. Andre Hall nowhere to go on second down. Mario Williams brings him down. Defensive ends for NC State, maybe the best tandem in the entire country. The bookends are Mario Williams and Manny Lawson. They combined for 23 sacks on the year. Hoyt, Lowry, and Tulloch are the backers. Tulloch is the leading tackler. And in the backfield, A.J. Davis and Marcus Hudson, they make the defense go for the Wolfpack. They're aggressive, they get up and press coverage, and they force the issue defensively for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, they're an aggressive, downhill, attacking at the line of scrimmage kind of defense. They'll come after you.
Pass is complete to Andre Hall, streaking across the middle. Julmus connects on his first pass, gain of 13 and a first down.
Boy, and he leads them in receiving, Andre Hall, as well as in rushing. So his game is very well rounded. You'll see him coming to the screen here on a little slant route. They get blitz from North Carolina State. He works into the open area of the field, and Pat Julmus just delivers the football on time. Good job by the offensive line as well.
Fresh set of downs. Julmus on a rollout. As his pass dropped, tried to get it to his tight end, and Derek Carter can't make the catch. Let's go down to Heather Mintz. Heather, what's going on out the sidelines?
Thanks, Eric. Well, Raleigh's 163 miles away from the Bank of America Stadium. NC State is expecting 25,000 plus fans in attendance today, as opposed to USF's 5,000. We asked Coach Amato if the proximity was an advantage. He said absolutely not. We have been in a bowl, and this is USF's first ever. He says they're hungry and they're going to want it bad. They're going to want to prove a point today, Eric.
Thank you so much, Heather. Yeah, USF Bulls, their fans are seeing red. Andre Hall, quick burst right side, big gainer for him. His best carry, a gain of 16 yards.
Well, we talked about the job that he does in the run game. When he goes for 100 yards or more, the Bulls are 5-0. They want to get him the football here, trying to get it to him on the edge. They use the option and get him outside, and there is a huge crease down the outside, the right side of that offensive line, outside of big right tackle Mark Dial, doing a great job of getting Andre Hall involved in this football game early.
Hall out of the game for a moment, so the carry goes to Ricky Ponton. Ponton barrels to the 30-yard line, a pickup of 6 yards.
Yeah, Ponton, he's got good quickness. He's the heir apparent to Andre Hall. The coaches have complete confidence in him when they insert him into the lineup. Just a freshman, but he knows the entire offense. They split him out. They use him in a lot of different packages offensively for this South Florida offense.
So Julmus now in the shotgun, as you just saw Ponton head out to a wide receiver spot. 5 receivers in the game. A little short pass, miscommunication. Ball flies out of bounds, and a flag flies. A little bit of a tussle on the sideline.
Well, the official was quick without an ineligible receiver downfield. It's going to be Frank Davis, the left guard, pulling to try to kick out on the cornerback. And he's the guy maybe got upfield just a little bit. Mario Williams was pointing it out. You'll see him from the left guard position leave here and pull outside to try to get a block right there in the middle of your screen. Big Frank Davis pulling out, left a little bit early. The timing was thrown off. Big fella trying to get a head start, and he gets a head start, all 320 pounds on him. We're trying to kick out on Marcus Hudson, who weighs about 200. I got to take the big fella in that matchup.
There's Jim Levitt. He is the only head coach that the Bulls have ever known. Hired back in December of 1995. Put this program up from the ground floor. Now coaching his 100th game with the Bulls. Give to Andre Hall, and Hall gets back what they lost, to pick up a 5.
Boy, they do an excellent job getting him outside. It's just the option again right there. Pause it. There's the key right there. Mario Williams, he's the option guy. Once he is outflanked or takes the quarterback, Pat Julmus is going to pitch it to Andre Hall. And what I like about it, what impresses me, he doesn't try to dance. He gets north and south for a little guy in a hurry.
Good opening drive for the South Florida Bulls. Throw is high, trying to swing it out to Ricky Ponton.
You know, I talked to Jim Levitt yesterday, and he said it's important for us to do something early in this football game. because we're not the type of offense who can play from behind. We need to get on the scoreboard or at least threaten early in this football game, and as the game progresses, continue to win the field position battle. And that's important for South Florida because North Carolina State, they score most of their points in the first quarter. 75 points scored by North Carolina State in the first quarter.
Kyle Bronson looking for a 47-yard field goal, and it's no good. Would have tied his career long. So a good drive goes for naught. We're still scoreless. 8:24 remaining, first quarter. Today's game is brought to you in high definition by Philips. That is a look at the Bank of America building in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina. It's about, what about a good bomb for you, Andre? About a stone, about an 80-yard pass to Manny Hazard away from the stadium?
Yeah, right.
Both teams with a scoreless first possession to begin the Meineke Car Care Bowl. And before NC State can begin their second drive, a flag comes down on the field.
Yeah, the right side of the offensive line is going to be a false start here on North Carolina State.
False start, number 62, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Yeah, Dwayne Herndon, the right guard, he was brought over from the defensive line where he played for 3 years. You know, he earned the team's top newcomer award on the offensive side this past spring, so he's done a fabulous job stepping in, making the conversion from defensive line to offense.
If you'd like to watch this game on HDTV, it is back and available. Got things sorted out. Marcus Stone wants to throw. They set up a screen. And Andre Brown nowhere to go. Caught in the backfield. Tim Jones, first man to get there.
Yeah, Tim Jones got pressure on Marcus Stone, flushed him out of the pocket when he threw the pass and was dropped by Tremaine Hall. But you're going to see him right in the middle of your screen here, just kind of working inside, actually doubles around. And he's right there, pause it, still working, right on the right side of your screen. And right here, open field tackle. When you're out there, you got some big offensive lineman working against you. Fight him off, and then you can get a guy like Andre Brown on the ground by yourself. Boy, that is a tough task.
Stone wants to throw it, and it is incomplete. Looking along the sideline. Intended for Brian Clark. That's his big play receiver.
Well, keep an eye on this because Marcus Stone, we talked about the slow starts that he gets off to, and Rick Kravitz as well as Wally Burnham, the co-defensive coordinators for South Florida, they like to play aggressive football. And they figure that they can keep another guy around the line of scrimmage to help them against Andre Brown, play man-to-man on the outside because Stone's not completing passes in this football game. Boy, it could make for a long afternoon for that young man.
Just 1 for 3. One completion was for negative yardage. They're going to throw on 3 consecutive downs. Maybe not. Stone tucks it under, tries to run, and barely gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, on third downs, they have just been poor this season. Only 25% on third down. They're the worst third down efficiency team of any bowl team that played this season. You see Stone, a lot of pressure, trying to pull the football down. They ranked 116th in the regular season in third down conversions. Only one team was worse.
Who's that?
You got me on that one. I'll get back to you on that.
I put you on the spot, my fault. John Delaney comes back. Second punt, his first one at 42 yards. Barely gets it away. Coming up, Jackie Chambers fields on the run, and he is swarmed, pushed down. 6 defenders in your picture. Bring him down after a 29-yard punt, negative 2-yard return. Today at 2:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2, the TCU Horned Frogs take on the Cyclones of Iowa State in the EV1.net Houston Bowl. EV1.net Houston Bowl is part of Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN2. Texas Christian Horned Frogs, solid end of their season. Running game really got into gear.
Pat Gilmas, strong-armed quarterback, plays inconsistent. Sometimes he gets going and boy, he looks like $1 million, and then Jim Levitt says sometimes he looks like a nickel.
Andre Hall always looks pretty darn good. Busted along the right side for a pickup of 8 yards on first down.
Yeah, not a big guy, just 5'10", 205, but he's got good quickness, and he's very elusive. You see him here, but there's no wasted movements. Out the front gate, he breaks the tackle of Stephen Tulloch. Boy, right down. This is where South Florida wants to live. Second down and short. We talk about it all the time. When you get the football second down and 2, second and 1, you can take a shot. It's almost like having a free down because you got third down and you're around midfield. Maybe you start thinking about going for it on fourth down as well. So maybe the Bulls here will take a shot down the field.
And before the play gets started, a whistle.
South Florida.
South Florida has called timeout. Pat Julmus, the junior, wants to talk things over with his head coach. Jim Levitt will have a confab. Timeout on the field, 6:43 remaining, first quarter. Both teams trying to get their sea legs underneath them. South Florida had the best opportunity to put points on the board, but a 47-yard field goal goes by the wayside.
College football. The Meineke Car Care Bowl is brought to you by Meineke Car Care Center. Right service, right price. And in part by the Lexus December to Remember sales event. Now through January 3rd. And Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Here in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, if you'd like to know how close other cities are to Charlotte, you can find it right there. And if you're looking for Raleigh, it's about 173 miles as the crow flies, as they say. And the Wolfpack fans, they've taken advantage, making the pilgrimage from Raleigh down here to Charlotte in mass. Big crowd of Wolfpack fans. Andre Hall nowhere to go. Look at how many Wolfpack defenders are in that picture.
Well, look at how many were at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, just a lot of guys. When you condense the formation down, we'll hold it right here and we'll let you look at it. Look at all the bodies in the box right there at the line of scrimmage. You condense the formation down. Andre Hall's not a power runner where he's going to get the pile moved in the other direction. A lot of red jerseys around that football for North Carolina State.
Third down, Pat Julmus operating out of the shotgun
North
and a whistle.
Carolina State.
North
As
Carolina
their first
State wants
charge
to call
timeout.
a timeout. So both teams early in this game burning timeouts. 2 timeouts on this drive. Well, Monday, Capital One Bowl week comes to a close on ESPN as Drew Tate and the Iowa Hawkeyes take on Chris Leak and the Florida Gators in the Outback Bowl. That's at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The Outback Bowl is preceded by a special 1.5-hour college game day built by the Home Depot, beginning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So the Outback Bowl, they've had some fantastic performers play in that game.
Well, 2 good quarterbacks, Chris Leak and Drew Tate going at it. Well, that'll be an aerial display in that one.
Drew Tate, you've been talking about him for a couple of years. You really like him.
I really like Drew Tate. You know, you talk to him. He's very knowledgeable about the game, knows where to go with the football, and then he is one of the best competitors in college football in terms of just taking his team on his back. Last year he did it, and went through about 5 or 6 running backs and had to rely on him, and he had a fantastic year. A little disappointing this season for the Iowa Hawkeyes, but well, I really like that young quarterback.
Third down and 5 for South Florida. See what they have up their sleeve. Need to get across the 50 to the 48-yard line. Julmus hands it off, and that didn't fool anyone. Stephen Tulloch is the first man to meet Andre Hall head on.
Yeah,
middle of the line of scrimmage.
Tulloch led him in tackles with 134 tackles this year. He can play all 3 linebacker positions. His first team All-ACC. He is one heck of a football player, just a junior.
Brandon Baker comes on, his first punt of the game. Baker is a aeronautical engineering major. Averages 40 yards a punt on the season. Back deep is Darrell Blackman. Ball bounces, and Blackman takes it off of 2 hops. Gets out to the 20-yard line and is brought down. Return of 8 yards after a 40-yard punt. That was Tremaine Hall who picked it up on a bounce. This is the 4th annual Meineke Car Care Bowl. 2 6-5 teams going at it here at the Bank of America Stadium, downtown Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the first ever bowl game that South Florida has played in. This is just their 9th season of football, and only their 5th season of 1A football. So they've come a long way in a short period of time.
Yeah, you talk to Jim Levitt. He says, yeah, it's great that we're here, but we're all competitors. We want to win the football game. We're not satisfied just showing up and getting here.
Andre Brown, another carry for him, and they may have figured him out. Ben Moffitt breaks through and trips him up. They're going to lose a couple of yards.
Yeah, Ben Moffitt led this team in tackles, 89 tackles, had 3 sacks to go along with that. Makes all the calls in the middle of their formation. Moved from outside linebacker to the middle. He was playing over the tight end most of last year, but has made the adjustment to the middle of the field.
To the right side they go. And nothing doing. Again, Ben Moffitt. And you're talking about, again, making his presence felt. A loss of 2 for the 2nd consecutive play.
Yeah, he moved into the starting lineup midway through his redshirt freshman year. You're going to see him read here and get straight to the football. No delay whatsoever. He sees the guard trying to pull, and there's a hole vacated for him to get through. And, boy, I mean, he hit it in a hurry against a good football player, Andre Brown.
NC State, they have failed twice on 3rd down so far in this game. That pass is low, and it bounces in front of the intended receiver, Brian Clark. So Marcus Stone, we've seen this before, struggling getting out of the gate. They've had 3 consecutive 3-and-outs to begin this game. Yeah,
he got a little pressure from Terrence Royal, the right defensive end, but I mean, just a poorly thrown football. And I asked him, I sat down with him a couple of days ago and asked him, you know, what is it? Why do you have the slow starts? And he says, well, I don't know. We try to get the running game going, try to get some easy passes, but he really doesn't have an answer for it himself.
Deep kick, Duraney forces Chambers to field it on the 35. Chambers finds some room. And he's down at the 44-yard line. A 49-yard punt, returned 9 yards. South Florida Bulls will take over on offense when we come back.
Hello, I'm Ken Walker, President and CEO of Meineke Car Care Centers, and I'm delighted to welcome you to...
Wait a minute, Ken. I think I should be doing this. Hello, I'm George Foreman, spokesman for Meineke.
I thought you just did grills.
No, Meineke service the whole car now. On behalf of more than 5,000 franchise owners, technicians, and staff, welcome you to the Meineke Car Care Bowl.
We hope you enjoy the game.
This is the 4th edition of the Meineke Car Care Bowl. And the folks have made it down here in good numbers. Of course, it's a lot easier for the NC State Wolfpack fans to make it here, just 160 miles away. But a good contingent from South Florida as well. And they see a pretty good offensive play on 1st down. Tight end Mike Ruger with the catch, picks up 12 yards.
Well, good job with a play fake by Pat Jolmis. And when you're running the football effectively, you're going to get some plays like that where you can get yourself outside the pocket and go to your big tight end kind of dragging across. They've moved the football against North Carolina State early and just stalled out a little bit and missed a field goal, but I've been impressed with South Florida offensively.
1st down and 10. Little option look. Dumas keeps it himself. Picks up a couple of yards on 1st down. Andre, this is a different offense than we saw a year ago from South Florida.
Yeah, they were throwing it around the park a year ago, and they've relied on the run more so this year. You see right now the option attack, and you got 2 guys outside the tackle. That tells me as a quarterback, I have to check out of this football play because you got, stop it right there. You got a guy for the quarterback, and you got a guy for the pitch man. You got to get your offense in another play.
Dumas on the rollout, throws high.
That's the rule when you run the option, Eric. 2 guys outside the tackle. Got to check out of it because one's occupying the quarterback, the other one's going to play the pitch man. The play is going nowhere.
Did he not notice it, or do you think he didn't have an option to check out?
Well, you know, it's a lot of components that work against you. Maybe the clock was running down and he felt like he had to stay into it, but it's a bad play against that look. And North Carolina State, good job defensively by Steve Dunlap, their defensive coordinator. The tendencies of South Florida early in this football game put him in that defense to stop the option.
Third down and long. Juleman with time. He's running out. And he is down, swarmed by Manny Lawson.
When we are talking about one of the best athletes, maybe the fastest player on the football team. He's the most athletic of the bunch. Scouts are looking at him as a 3-4 outside linebacker. You see him here working against number 72, Jerome Springfield, and they're up the field and continues to chase. 39-inch vertical jump, runs the 40 in 4.4 and can broad jump 11.2. Those are some good specs for that defensive end.
Freakish athletic ability for Manny Lawson. He has 10.5 sacks now on the year. Brandon Baker will have to punt it away. And it is blocked! Loose ball. Manny Lawson has it. Manny Lawson is everywhere right now, and great field position for NC State.
Yeah, I think the guy was Marcus Hudson, who actually blocked the punt. And Brandon Baker, he's had one blocked on the year already for South Florida. But they tune it up and come after you. And he gets his hands on it. You're going to see it. Manny Lawson comes up with the football, but it's right around from the middle right here. Just going to creep through. Right there. And just gets enough of the football. Almost came out of there. Right up the middle of your screen. Right through here is where you're going to see Hudson. It gets just enough of the football. Big play on special teams for North Carolina State.
So the best field position of the game for NC State. They'll start on the 49-yard line. And Marcus Stone, play action, runs in to a tackler waiting for him. Brought down, sack on the play made for a loss of yardage. Terrence Royal is the man who gets him and brings him to the turf.
Yeah, he's their 100% everyday player. He was a linebacker in high school, but then converted to defensive end. You see the most blocked kicks there. Texas since 2000 with 41. North Carolina State, you would usually think it's Virginia Tech, but this special teams unit for North Carolina State, they block them a whole lot.
You can imagine the Chuck Amato with that Florida State background. Blocking kicks very important to him. Good run right up the gut. Powerful running, a pickup of 10 yards. That's Tony Baker, his first carry of the game.
Yeah, parade All-American out of high school as a senior, rushed for over 3,000 yards as a high school senior. His father, Tony, played at East Carolina, played in the NFL. Young Tony Baker, 4.5 yards a carry this season, 5 touchdowns to go along with it. And he's their change of pace. You get the big bruising style from Andre Brown, but this kid can flat out smoke it. He can run.
Baker's still in the game. 3rd down and 5. Looked to be movement on the line. I think it was a false start on the offense.
Looked like the entire right side of the offensive line.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 71, offense.
And they call it on Derek Morris. I think they could have called it on anyone on the right side.
Yeah, it was just, you know, the whole side. They've got their hands full over there. John Simmons, Tavarius Robinson working on that side against the big right tackle Derek Morris, and that's his 2nd penalty.
Penalties have been an issue for NC State on the year.
Yeah.
Beginning of the season, they were just plagued with them. Chuck Amato's team figured it out about midseason. Penalties went down, and not so coincidentally, the wins started going up.
Yeah. Once you get a handle on penalties and turnovers, you'd be surprised how on the scoreboard it starts to affect you. You win a whole lot more games when you can reduce the penalties and turnovers.
Wolfpack yet to complete a 3rd down. Marcus Stone harassed, just throws it away. And he's fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage. And no grounding call. 4th down and 10. Quarter comes to a close. We've played 15 minutes. We'll be back with the 2nd quarter in a moment. After 15 minutes of play, no score here at the Meineke Car Care Bowl. Both teams just trying to get back in the swing of things. They've had obviously long droughts where they haven't been able to play. Both teams haven't played since the month of November. High kick, angle towards the sideline, goes out of bounds. And South Florida will take over at about the 18-yard line. Let's go back down to the field, and Heather Mitz. Heather, what's going on down there?
Thanks, Eric. Well, Jim Leavitt had a lot of question marks as preparation for their first bowl ever. He was wondering, how are the guys' legs? Are they tired? Do you over-prepare for this game? He also had a question about the preparation for the practice schedule. He called Oklahoma coach Bob Stoops, who he coached with at Kansas State, and he asked him a couple suggestions. He said 3 days of 2 days would be great. After the second day, they decided that was enough. It proves to the guys it's going to make them work, and they have to work hard to get to this point. We'll see if the 2 days work out for these guys.
Thank you, Heather. Andre Hall with the carry. Pickup of 2 yards on first down.
Yeah, what you don't realize in games like this is that, you talk about the conditioning. That's what I talked with Jim Leavitt about, is that, you don't want to over-condition because guys don't have legs coming into football games like this. As well, you don't want to under-condition. And I think it just takes a bowl experience to kind of go a couple of times so you know just what conditioning your football teams are, how much to work them so that they're just right for the game.
Julmus on the rollout, right side, throws, passes complete, juggled, but finally caught close. No, they're going to say no catch. Incomplete. He had it and then lost it at the last moment.
Well, I think they're going to give him, I think they're going to award him this catch, but nice play fake inside. You got Mario Williams chasing you down. Pat Julmus right on time with the football outside to S.J. Green. And he gets him in short yardage on 3rd down and 1, but well-thrown football out in front of the receiver, S.J. Green. South Florida dealing right here.
Pickup of 7 brings up a 3rd down and 1. And nowhere to go initially for Andre Hall, but the second effort gives him the first down. Andre, that's why he's a special back.
That is why he led the Big East in rushing. He owns 20 school records in only 2 years at South Florida. Right here, he's going to go head-to-head with Mario Williams. That's their best defensive player, he along with Manny Lawson. But when you can come out of the grips of a guy 6'7", about 285, and he's only packing about 205 soaking wet, well, that tells me he got his pad level down, running with his head over his feet.
Hall now at 34 yards on 8 rushes. Here's his 9th carry. He is upended close to the line of scrimmage. Had someone on his back and his feet were taken out underneath him. Oliver Hoyt credited with the tackle.
Kind of olayed Marcus Hudson, who was coming in low. He had a guy around his shoulder pads and was still able to kind of lift his leg up and jump over Marcus Hudson. Fantastic athletic ability on the part of Andre Hall.
On 2nd down and long, South Florida sets up with an empty backfield. 5 receivers in the game.
We got an uncovered receiver right there. Just raise up and give it to him.
Julmus doesn't find anyone open, and he's brought down Mario Williams, his first sack of the game.
This game is not all that complicated in the pass game. Whenever I approach the line of scrimmage, you just look for the easy throw. Look at this voided area right in here. Nobody's there. It's just 2nd down. The linebacker is inside here. You just raise up, give it to the receiver going vertically down the field, and it's a check that you can make. An easy throw for a quarterback, and the results are huge. Made a living with that one.
Mario Williams now with 14 sacks on the season. 3rd down and 16 after the loss of 7. Williams gets a great jump off the ball, but probably too good. He's going to be whistled, I think, for an offsides penalty.
To the snap, offside, number 9 of the defense, unabated to the quarterback.
Yeah,
that's a 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Usually when guys jump offside, you're allowed. It's kind of a free play, but when you get to the quarterback, they're going to blow it to protect the quarterback. But boy, he just jumps out of his stance. Watch the quickness in which he jumps out. Almost times it up just right, and that makes it tough for Walter Walker, the sophomore right tackle for South Florida.
3rd and 11. Julmus throws, almost intercepted. Hudson had it and then dropped it.
Well, sometimes that's why wide receivers get moved to defensive back. He's got 2 interceptions on the season, but this is one. This is dangerous right here. You're throwing into coverage, trying to squeeze one in between the corner and the safety on a corner route. And if it isn't timed and thrown just right, you're chasing from behind as a quarterback.
Brandon Baker had his last punt blocked. And it looks like NC State thinking about coming after another one. Baker able to get it off. Low line drive. It's going to skip a couple of times. Wolfpack stays away from it, and it is down on the 30-yard line. That is where NC State will take over on offense when we come back. We're still scoreless in Charlotte, North Carolina. NC State head coach Chuck Amato had his game face on earlier this week on Thursday. Tire changing contest at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Jim Levitt, the head man for South Florida, got the job done, but not nearly as quick as Chuck Amato. Being a head coach down here in North Carolina, you got to know your way around the racetrack, and tire changing just one of the things that Chuck Amato is very talented at.
Tell you what, he's pretty good at that thing.
He practiced, I was told that he was practicing.
Wow.
And Jim Levitt did it cold. But a win's a win. Chuck Amato won that competition. How will he fare in this competition? So far, nothing doing. Scoreless game here in the second quarter. Inside handoff goes to Tony Baker. And Tony Baker, his best run of the game, across midfield to the 45-yard line. A pickup of 22 yards for the freshman.
Well, they go 2 tight ends with T.J. Williams and Anthony Hill, who is an excellent blocker with good hands, and they're going to pull him back towards the left side of this formation and allows Tony Baker to cut it back across the mid part of the formation, and then all of a sudden he's out the gate. We talked about the speed of Tony Baker. He's a good changeup from Andre Brown. Both guys out of high school parade All-Americans.
Second first down of the game for NC State. Baker remains in the game, has the ball, tries the left side, picks up a yard, maybe 2.
Good job by Stephen Nicholas, the outside linebacker, an outside contain, not giving up the edge, because if Baker makes it outside of him, he's off to the races and running again. Only the second first down for this North Carolina State football team. They've gone 3 straight 3-and-outs and still struggling on third down. Of the North Carolina State Wolfpack, 0 for 4 on third down, so they're trying to stay away from even getting themselves to third down. 2nd and 9 here.
This is a big play right now. They don't want to be in the third down and long. That's
right.
Been disastrous. Stone with his second completion. Squirts it out. That's Lamar Barrett, who's just checked into the game. His first catch, picks up 13 yards and a first down for NC State.
Yeah, NC State, their first 4 possessions. Punt, 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 and another punt. And you see the yardage there. 3 plays and out. Now finally they put something together here. You know, we talked a little bit about Marcus Stone. Sat down with him 2 nights ago. And I think it's just a young, inexperienced quarterback whose adrenaline is running, which allows for the slow starts at quarterback for him.
Handoff. Left side. Tony Baker picks up 4 yards. When we talked to the offensive coordinator for NC State, Mark Tressman, get his scouting report on his young quarterback, Marcus Stone. He says his only concerns about his quarterback are below the waist.
Yeah, it's footwork, because it's such a timing offense that you have to step in a lot of throws. When you're getting pressure, you have to step up in the pocket and throw the football. And Marcus Stone, he doesn't always have his feet under him when he's throwing the football or set. He's moving around or throwing off the back foot at times, and it makes for a low percentage. He's only 48% this year.
Play clock winding down, and they just get it off. Into traffic. Pass is complete at the 20-yard line. Lamar Barrett, his second grab.
But then he'll throw passes like that with excellent velocity on the football that just kind of have you oohing and eyeing. You're just going to see a nice little curl route in the middle of the field here, and right on time. You see him vacate the area right there. You clear it out with one receiver, the other one underneath. And you watch the footwork here of Marcus Stone. You see the quick little three-step drop because of the shotgun. Feet are under him. He delivers a perfect football.
Stone now 3 for 7, 18 yards. Tony Baker, inside run. Good strong running inside the 10. The freshman refusing to go down before he picks up 13 yards.
We talked a lot about Andre Brown, but it was Tony Baker who started before him. He had fumble problems, so they went to Andre Brown. But watch this, just downhill. He can run between the tackles. He's got great vision, strength coming out of tackles. Breaks the tackle of Patrick St. Louis, and then all of a sudden he's north and south. But he is a guy that could carry the load. They're going to ride the hot hand. It's either Brown or Baker. Whichever one gets hot, they're going to stay in the football game.
Baker now 5 carries, 52 yards.
That's getting it done right there. 10.4 yards a carry. That is amazing.
South Florida calls timeout, trying to grab a breath.
Yeah, you know, sometimes when the offense is having some success, you need to bring some guys over. They don't go very deep defensively, South Florida. So, yeah, you keep shuffling backs in there. Andre Brown, he gets his turn, and then Baker comes in and he's lighting it up. Marcus Stone now throwing the football in rhythm. Good timing. And you get tired defensively, you need a timeout and a blow.
Chuck Amato now working that sideline, but a couple of days ago working the tires. We told you that he really wanted to win the tire changing contest at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Got there nice and early, and practice, practice, practice. The coaches say it all the time, practice makes perfect. Well, he's a case in point. And he won the competition with Jim Levitt because he put the time in.
Yeah, went through a few two-a-days of his own, changing tires and practicing, working up to it. And then when game day showed up, he was ready.
Ball now on the 6-yard line. Tony Baker still in the game for NC State. Splitting time with Andre Brown, but this has been his drive. Man in motion is the tight end, Anthony Hill. They follow him, but to no avail. Richard Kleber, first person to get Tony Baker, and drops him for a 3-yard loss. Well, Chuck Amato, he's the type of guy that likes to come up with themes and mottos. First season on the job, team motto, finish. Wanted to learn how to close out games. It's been full speed ahead, step up, cut it loose. Last year it was discipline. And this year he felt the important concept coming out of preseason camp was trust. You need to trust the players next to you. You need to trust the defense if you're the offense. It needs to be a team effort. And so far,
it'll bring up a third down.
Yeah, he's their deep threat, and you see just the fade route. Nice timing, good loft on the football. But you got to give your quarterback about 4 yards on that sideline so he can fade you out of bounds. See him working here against cornerback DeJuan Brown, and just barely out of bounds. You want that 4-yard cushion so I can fade you into the corner of the end zone. If you give me 3, it's not going to do it. You're going to come up just short like North Carolina State did just then.
9th play of this drive coming up. Stone again, corner of the end zone. Battle won by NC State. Touchdown, Brian Clark.
Well, they like the matchup. They check Mike Jenkins back in the game. They go back to the exact same play. And Marcus Stone with good touch on this football. Right here, 1, 2, 3, and the football is out. Nice lob shot. The receiver can adjust back inside to the football. And you see the cushion that I talked about. 4 yards inside. He can make a move either inside or outside. Adjust on the football. Good job by Brian Clark there, coming up with a fabulous catch.
Good play call by offensive coordinator Mark Trestman. 2 consecutive plays. First one not quite on the mark. Second one works to perfection. And Brian Clark scores the game's first touchdown. It's Stone to Clark. Corner of the end zone. NC State 7. South Florida still looking for their first score.
ESPN College Football. The Meineke Car Care Bowl is brought to you by Meineke Car Care Center. Right service, right price. And in part by the Nikon D50 Digital SLR. Incredible pictures made incredibly easy. And and Aflac. Ask about it at work.
That's one of the new parks in downtown Charlotte. It's called the Green. And not too many bowl games that you can go to where you can go ice skating. That's right. You can here in downtown Charlotte. Brian Clark, the recipient. A touchdown pass from Marcus Stone, capping off a 9-play, 67-yard drive. Clark now has 6 touchdowns on the year. 2 of them were 80 yards or more.
Yeah, he's one of the fastest players on the team. Ran the 6th fastest time in school history in the 60 meters for the NC State track team.
Chad Simpson fields the kickoff halfway in the end zone and takes a knee. South Florida Bulls will take over on the 20-yard line.
Well, this is usually their quarter. I mean, they've scored 92 points to their opponents 72. And so usually that lets me know that guy right there can coach. You get in the second quarter, you start scoring a bunch of points, you've made some adjustments, and you look for South Florida offensively to get things moving here. Pat Julmis, as well as Andre Hall, get him involved back in this football game. They've gone away from him on the last couple of drives a little bit, and they actually check in Ricky Fontana. He's in the football game now instead of Andre Hall.
Pat Julmis has Ponton next to him in the backfield. They want to throw on first down. Across the middle, throw sails high, looking for Amari Jackson on the crossing route. South Florida Bulls just began their program in 1997. And here in 2005, they've made it to their first ever bowl game. That is the fastest start ending in a bowl game since 1968. There's some other pretty good programs in there. Boise State, they've got a juggernaut out there in the Rocky Mountains, but it took them 31 years to get to a bowl game.
Maybe their first bowl game for South Florida, but certainly won't be their last. They're building something special down there.
Ponton with the carry. Spins across the 25, picks up 7 yards on second down. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 3.
We talked about the fact that South Florida, they're throwing the football a little more than usual. There they go back to the run with Ricky Ponton, but when they have a runner, or as a team, when they rush for 100 yards or more, they're 6-3 as a football team. So they have to be able to run the football to have success offensively.
3rd down and short. The Bulls roll out Julmis. Steps up, uses those good legs and picks up a first down.
Yeah, good job there. He saw that he didn't have a receiver open, a lot of green grass in front of him. Gets a little pressure and pulls it down. He's rushed for over 340 yards on the season, but here, a little short roll, nobody open. Now the clock in my head tells me I should have thrown the football by now. Let me pull it down and make something happen with it. Able to pick up the first down on a good headsy play. Quarterback Pat Julmis.
See if they go back to the ground game on Andre Hall. They do. Hall is wrapped up quickly. Picks up 2 yards. NC State defensively very good against the run, and that's made life difficult for Andre Hall. One of the better backs you're going to see in the country.
Yeah.
He finished second to only Michael Bush of Louisville in terms of rushing yards per game in the Big East this year.
Yeah, coaches describe him as one of the finest young men on the team. Runs with good vision and balance. Terrific in terms of making guys miss it.
South Florida Bulls stay on the ground. Option look. Andre Hall has it. Left side. Brought down at the 40-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down and manageable. Let's take a look at today's Aflac trivia question. We talked about South Florida making their bowl debut over the last 2 seasons. Team making bowl debuts are 1-5. Which team won their first ever bowl game? What's the thing about that one? That's hard stuff right there.
Good question.
That's the truck working overtime. 3rd down and 3. Bulls running out of time. Julmis is sacked. Big loss on the play, Stephen Tulloch. Oh, Tulloch just sprung free cruising around that right end.
They blitz Tulloch and J.J. Jones from over the slot, the outside linebacker, and the extra safety that they bring into the football game. And you got to feel it right here from the outside. There's the pressure coming. And Stephen Tulloch, his 4th sack of the season, led the team in tackles. But, boy, you got to know that on 3rd down and long, you're going to get some pressure.
Landon Baker felt some of that pressure a couple of punts ago. He had one blocked. Baker fields the low snap, gets it away. High kick. Bounces at the 33-yard line and goes out of bounds inside the 25. So a good kick, 45 yards with the roll. Marcus Stone and the NC State Wolfpack offense coming on the field when we return. There's some excitement going on here in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Meineke Car Care Bowl in its 4th year of existence, and people really rallying around this bowl game. And right now, rallying the offense for NC State has been their running game. Last touchdown was scored by Brian Clark, but it was set up by some hard running by Tony Baker.
Yeah, Tony Baker. Andre Brown has provided a spark early, but it's been Baker later in this football game. And you have 2 good runners, the one that gets the hot hand. And when you talk to Chuck Amato, is a guy that's going to be carrying the load for the offense.
Do you think this is going to last, having 2 good backs that are the same year? Tony Baker, just a freshman, and Andre Brown, just a freshman.
I think so. If you can convince them that there's enough carries for both of them to be effective, and you can certainly give examples about the 2 guys, Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown down at Auburn, who had both had successful careers sharing the football. So I think it can work. It's just you don't want one guy to feel like he should be elevated over the other. It's a dual role for both guys who are young running backs.
Some people think that running backs have a certain amount of shelf life. They can only take so many hits. They only have so many runs in those legs. And I'd imagine playing in the same backfield with someone just as good as you would kind of help the legs, and the wear and tear wouldn't be as intense.
I think it helps the success, too, because, you know, if you're the second guy going in, defense is already softened up for you.
Baker, another carry, picks up 5 yards. Are they different enough that they're change of pace backs?
I think so. I think Andre Brown is more the physical style back. He certainly has speed once he breaks through the initial line of scrimmage. But Tony Baker, he can hit the home run as well. But you talk about power, that young man there, Andre Brown, runs with tremendous power. So they complement one another very well.
Andre Brown didn't get started until about halfway through the season. Just saw spot duty first couple of games. It really came on late in the year. Baker lowers his head, picks up a 1st down. 3 straight runs for the freshman running back from Jamestown, North Carolina.
Well, they moved the chains. We talked about it coming into this football game. Only 25% on 3rd down. Worst 3rd down percentage of any bowl team. In bowls, are playing in bowls this year. So it's been tough on 3rd downs for them. They've finally gotten things going, and I think it's because they're getting them in manageable situations. It's shortened the chains a little bit. You go from 3rd down and long to 3rd and medium or 3rd and short. Those are a little bit easier to convert.
Baker remains in the game. They fake it to him this time. Little play action doesn't fool anyone on South Florida. Stone runs away from pressure and slides across the 45-yard line to the 47. Pickup of 7 yards. Let's go back to the studio. Dave Revson, what's going on at halftime?
All right, got some good stuff. Jim Donnan's going to join me. We will have analysis from the Peach Bowl last night. We'll also look at the business of the three-peat, and Jim is going to have some BCS New Year's resolutions. Again, that's all coming up at the half. Let's go back to you guys.
Well, that Peach Bowl was a shocker. I mean, LSU just handed it to Miami.
Without Jamarcus Russell, who I know you're a big fan of.
Man.
Matt Flynn's a pretty good player, too.
Yeah,
I think we saw that.
It was embarrassing.
Fake to Tony Baker. Stone wants a bunch. Clark has the catch inside the 20-yard line. Big play to their big play receiver. And Mike Jenkins upset. He thought he was pushed.
Well, they talk about Mike Jenkins. Heavily recruited, prep All-American out of high school, second team All-Conference, and he's their best cover guy, but he gets one-on-one once again with Brian Clark, and all of a sudden, this is a matchup that NC State likes. It's a jump ball situation, and Brian Clark comes up with it. Mark Trestman, he will find you and seek out the matchups based on formations and get that one-on-one matchup all afternoon.
Tony Baker so strong with the football. Finally brought down by Johnny Jones, but not before he gets 9 more yards and brings it down inside the 5.
Well, watch this tough run. Good blocking up front. James Newby. John McEwen, the left guard. Playing center now. Leroy Harris playing the left guard. And Tony Baker, just tough running, carrying guys for positive yardage. And this is where they like to live. Second down and about a half a yard here. Makes play calling a little bit easier. Go play action here. You could just go right at the heart of the defense if you need to.
Baker, little shuffle step, gets inside. Gets the first down at the 1-yard line. Baker was a touchdown maker in high school. All he did was score 161 times. That's a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, he had a heck of a high school career. We talked about it. Over 3,000 yards as a senior with 36 touchdowns just as a senior alone. In this drive, 5 carries. It's just amazing the amount of work that he's putting in here early in this football game.
Tries to pay off this drive. And he is brought down in a huff. Nothing doing there on the right side of that line. It's going to bring up a 3rd down.
Yeah, Josh Jolmist, big defensive lineman, 6'6", 265. And if the name sounds familiar, yes, his brother's the starting quarterback on this football team. He's a big defensive lineman, was a quarterback in high school, played quarterback and safety, was recruited as a tight end. Moved him to defensive end, and he can really get after the quarterback. They really think he's got a bright future here at South Florida.
2nd down and goal. They fake to Baker, throw to the tight end, and a flag flies. Looking for T.J. Williams, and there was contact. Anthony Hill.
Yeah, they try to get Anthony Hill, the big tight end. Mark Trestman described him as their nastiest player. He will get after you blocking, and they use him as the move tight end. He's usually on the move in motion. Look at the flag here.
Pass interference, number 21 of the defense. That's half the distance to the goal with an automatic first down.
Yeah, Trey Williams here. He doesn't really play the football, just kind of face guarding and just going up. And he goes after the receiver as opposed to trying to make a play on the football. Got there in enough time. You just got to make a play on the football. He goes through Anthony Hill.
So on a 1st and goal, they try and throw to the end zone, and again, incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Anthony Hill, for the 2nd consecutive play.
Yeah, he's going to be an excellent football player. Just a sophomore. He's from down in my neck of the woods in Clearbrook High School. His family grew up in Dickinson, Texas, from right there where I went to high school. Got an email a couple of weeks ago from his mother, and a fine family. She passed on some good spirits myself back to her in an email. And
when they describe Anthony Hill,
he's going to be a great player.
They describe him as being nasty. Yep. That common with all the athletes coming out of Dickinson.
Well, you want that when you're playing that position for sure.
Not enough nasty right there out on the inside run. Tony Baker. Not much going on, and with 20 seconds remaining in the first half, Chuck Amato desperately wants a timeout call. Finally does get someone to listen to him, and clock stops with 18 ticks remaining here in the first half. Let's take a look at our Aflac trivia answer. I asked you the question just moments ago, talking about teams with debuts playing in bowl games, really struggling over the last couple of seasons. Just 1 in 5 in bowl game debuts. Which team is the only team that won their debut?
I just wrote it down for you. I was wrong. Connecticut last year in the Motor City Bowl.
Taking down the Toledo Rockets. That's a difficult question right there. You got to be really paying attention.
It's recent, but it's still a tough question. Got a good season last year at Connecticut. Boy, South Florida has really stood up defensively. They've been backed up down here inside their own red zone, sitting on the 1-yard line. And they have gotten lower in the battle of pad level so far inside the 5-yard line here against North Carolina State. And you throw in that penalty, they got a fresh set of downs. with a pass interference penalty inside the 5. So good job so far by South Florida. Let's see if they hold up.
They bring in Andre Brown as the deep back in the backfield. And they give it to Brown. And Brown gets the touchdown. Back-to-back impressive drives for the NC State Wolfpack. Both of them result in touchdowns.
Yeah, they bring in Curtis Crouch, a big reserve offensive lineman, a right guard, number 76, and they just clear things out. They pull him around. He kicks out here, and you're going to see it right there, just getting lower than the defenders. All you got to do is get some push when you're on the 1-yard line, and Andre Brown gets him into the end zone.
Andre Brown is 6th touchdown rushing on the year. Extra point, no problem. Delaney now 63 for 63 on extra points in his career. It's 14-0. Wolfpack on top of the Bulls. It was Tony Baker who did the heavy lifting on that drive, but it was number 24, Andre Brown, who got the glory. He gets the 1-yard touchdown run, the 2nd touchdown of the game for NC State. This one time-consuming. 4:39 taken off the clock, 11 plays. And they are up impressively here in the first half against the South Florida Bulls.
And we talked about Andre Brown being the more physical runner of the two out of he and Tony Baker. And when you get down there, you need that physical presence to kind of knock the defense backwards. And he's that kind of runner. When he hits the hole, the defense is going backwards as opposed to standing there.
Kickoff fielded at the 1-yard line. Chad Simpson has the football. Makes a couple of guys miss, but his luck runs out at the 15-yard line. He is brought down. And the South Florida Bulls, with 10 seconds remaining in the first half, what should be their strategy?
Well, I think you don't want to make a mistake here. You're down inside your own 20-yard line with 10 seconds left. So you want to take care of the football. North Carolina State still has a timeout. I think you just kneel it down and go into halftime and talk about it. You're getting the football first out of the locker room.
And it looks like South Florida is going to follow your advice. Pat Julmus takes a knee, and that'll do it for the first half of play. 30 minutes in the books. South Florida looking for their first scratch. They had some trouble offensively working against a very physical, very tough NC State defense. 14-0 is our score. NC State, they are 3-1 in bowl games under head coach Chuck Amato, trying to run that record to 4-1. He's been very good in big games since coming back to his alma mater. He's standing by with Heather Mitz. Heather?
Coach, defensively, what have you done to hold them scoreless?
Well, after we stopped the run there at the beginning, we forced them to try to throw the ball a little bit more, but we're playing better up front.
Typically, Marcus Stone gets off to a slow start. If it's his first bowl game, how do you assess his play so far?
Well, not bad. Not bad. He did a couple good things that got us in the end zone. You know, the big thing about Marcus is I don't worry about his stats. I worry about his production. Got 14 points on the board.
Penalties were a big issue in the beginning of the year. You have 4 in the first half. Does that concern you at all?
Too many. Penalties and drop passes killed us in the first quarter.
Great. Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Now Chuck Amato has to be pleased. His team on top 14-0 over the South Florida Bulls. Our halftime score, 2-touchdown lead for the Wolfpack. Now let's go to the college football halftime report and Dave Revson. We're getting ready for second half action here at the 4th ever Meineke Car Care Bowl. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina. Downtown Charlotte washes up nicely in December. We've had a fantastic last couple of days here getting ready for today's game. And so far, Jim Leavitt hasn't had a fantastic game day. First 30 minutes have not gone the way of the South Florida Bulls. His team, they're getting shut out offensively, and they've given up 14 points on 2 late drives by NC State.
Yeah, not really converting on third downs, and they've got to put together drives that they keep moving the football and moving the chains, and it's been because of the defense of North Carolina State. You know, they have just basically disrupted this entire South Florida offense. You see here, Manny Lawson running down Pat Julmis, the quarterback, and then all of a sudden on the other side, Mario Williams, the other defensive end that we talked about. Then here, Stephen Tulloch, who led the team in tackles this season, coming up with a sack of his own. Tough going for South Florida offensively.
Chuck Amato's defense, they have allowed just 66 total yards through the first 30 minutes. That's usually going to get it done for you.
Boy, I talked to Jim Levitt, and he said, you know, we can't get behind. We're not the type of team who can get behind early in a football game and then throw our way back into it. Pat Julmis is just 51%. He's only thrown 6 touchdown passes this year. South Florida has just thrown 1 TD pass and 7 interceptions in their last 5 games. So getting behind is not in the plans for this football team.
Well, there's the first mistake of the second half. NC State, they kick it out of bounds. So good field position to begin the third quarter for the South Florida Bulls. Let's go back down in the field. And Heather Mitz. Heather, what's going on?
Yeah, guys, I talked to Jim Levitt on his way back out here on the field. I asked him what he had to do offensively to get on the scoreboard. He said they need to establish the running game. You need to be able to throw the ball deep a couple times. He said he's going to throw a couple more formations in there, and he said hopefully that will work for them, you guys.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, it's been tough when you talk about playing against Manny Lawson and Mario Williams. Coming into this football game, they'd given up 0 sacks to the top 5 sack leaders in the Big East. But, boy, they've had their hands full with those 2 bookends for North Carolina State.
Julmis, option, keeps it himself. Good gain on first down, a pickup of 7 yards. Stephen Tulloch makes the tackle, but not before a good gain on first down.
Yeah, this is a good job, good read by Pat Julmis on the option. You're going to see right here, one guy outside the tackle, and he's running. He takes the pitch man, and Julmis, that gives him an alley right up the field and into the second level of the defense. So a good read there. Once the guy takes the pitch man, you become the running back.
Good block by Frank Davis, his left guard, to give him a little bit of room. Here comes Andre Hall, his best run of the game. Gets inside the 35-yard line all the way down to the 33. A pickup of 25 yards.
Now this is what Jim Levitt said they had to do, was get that young man involved. And I mean, right up the gut of your screen right here, you see Andre Hall makes one guy miss. He's at the second level now into the secondary, and it's Garland Heath who's back there, and he is the last line of defense. A good job of tackling in the open field by the junior Garland Heath, because otherwise Andre Hall, he's off to the races.
Let's take a look at the first half stats. And in the first half, offensively, not much of anything for South Florida.
Yeah, you see the total yards there for South Florida, and just total dominance on the other side by North Carolina State. Both teams about even in third down conversions, but North Carolina State started this football game rather slow and really picked things up in the second quarter. Marcus Stone started to play better. They started moving the chains, and that's when they put 2 7 spots on the board.
That's Jackie Chambers, who's a little shaken up, had to be helped off the field. He's replaced in the game by Jesse Hester. On first down, Julmis again keeps it. Manny Lawson wraps him up, brings him down at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Manny Lawson had a sack in the first half.
Yeah, he is a pass rush specialist. He's fast off the edge, can really redirect. One of the finer athletes on this football team. We talked about, you know, his 40 time at 4.4. Vertical jumps about 39 inches, and then broad jumps about 11.2. I mean, just a fantastic athlete, all ACC this year.
Reminds me a lot of Javon Curse.
Yeah, he is a freak of his own, in his own right.
On the end around, they give it to Amari Jackson, and Jackson is bottled up, picks up, well, actually loses a yard.
Well, you're not going to fool this North Carolina State defense, kind of trying to run trick plays and reverses and things of that sort. And right here, just staying outside, you see the presence of Mario Williams right there. And then he gets things turned back inside, fights off the block of Derek Carter, and then makes the play. That is an exceptional football play by a guy that may or may not be back at North Carolina State next year, because he's going to be taking a trip to play on Sundays in the NFL.
He has done so much in the college game. He's already NC State's leader in career tackles for losses and sacks. He has done virtually everything asked of him as a collegian, and he does it right there on third down. The draw does not fool Mario Williams.
All right, off the edge again, and you can't block this guy with just one guy on the offense. You've got to have double teams, and right here, Walker has his hands full, gives him the outside move and comes right underneath and into the backfield with Andre Hall. But you see the shoulder pads. He's faking, getting the tackle to take one little step outside, and then the pass rush or the run stop underneath the right tackle into the backfield. Boy, amazing play.
And getting in the backfield has not been a difficult task for NC State. They now have 7 tackles for losses in this game already. Baker punts it away. Jermaine Hall fakes the fair catch, and the ball goes into the end zone. NC State will start on the 20-yard line. NC State will have the ball for their first possession here in the third quarter when we come back. Well, the big picture for NC State, 14-0 lead. Their first possession here in the third quarter. Marcus Stone started slowly, then Stone rolled. Wolfpack with touchdowns on their last 2 possessions of the first half. Flip it out. Tony Baker has the catch. That's Darrell Blackman with the catch. His first catch of the game. He's knocked out of bounds.
All right, Marcus Stone got off to a slow start the first 4 drives, just 1 of 5, -1 yards passing, and then all of a sudden he got hot in the second quarter. 4-6 for 69 yards, threw a touchdown pass to Brian Clark, and really kind of asserted himself. He gets off to that usual slow start.
Why is that?
I think it's just adrenaline. A young quarterback, not a whole lot of starts under his belt, and then all of a sudden he calms down and starts to play within the structure of the offense.
Tony Baker at 75 yards in the first half to lead the Wolfpack. This time has a little bit more of a tough go. Picks up 2 yards. It'll bring up a third down.
Good job by South Florida getting North Carolina State into third down, and that's where they wanted to do. Rick Kravitz, defensive coordinator, along with Wally Burnham, both co-coordinators for this South Florida team. They know they have a chance if they can get North Carolina State into third down situations. They've responded, converting their last 3 in the first half, but faced with their first one here in the second half of this ball game.
Stone with time. It's Blackman coming out of the backfield. Tries to make one man miss. He does, and he gets the first down.
I think he's going to mark him just short.
Oh, really? I thought he got away from Patrick St. Louis and got enough.
Yeah, it's going to be just short. His body is across, but the football you'll see right here, as he's trying to catch his balance, he takes a step backwards and out of bounds, and the official's going to mark it right where the football went out, which is about right in there. I think it's a good spot. North Carolina State's going to have to punt this football.
So his feet were well beyond the first down line, but the ball was behind it.
Yeah, it's where the football is, just as if you're on the goal line and the ball crosses, the rest of your body doesn't have to cross. You're going to...
South Florida calls timeout. A little confusion as they bring on the punt coverage team. So they have to burn a timeout. We'll get another chance to look at this.
Yeah, and this is a good job of Patrick St. Louis here, just trying to bring him down, and then all of a sudden his body, the momentum of his body just comes right back. He's got the first down there, and then he comes back across, and you'll see the football out of bounds right there. It's where the ball is. I don't know if I'm Jim Leavitt, though, if I want to call a timeout and let the replay officials start to take a look at it. I thought it was a good spot, though.
Jim Leavitt talking things over, making sure that everyone's squared away. It's 4th down and 1 when this punt is coming your way. Well, today at 2:30 Eastern time on ESPN2, the TCU Horned Frogs take on the Iowa State Cyclones in the EV1.net Houston Bowl. The EV1.net Houston Bowl is part of Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN2. TCU, we talked about in the first half, they really came on tail end of the season. Those last 4 games, 838 yards on the ground and 15 touchdowns.
Jared Patterson, he's really done a good job coaching that football team. When he took over for Coach Francione, who moved on to Alabama and then back to A&M, but Well, they hadn't missed a beat at TCU.
Amari Jackson back deep to field this punt. High kick, caught at the 26-yard line. Jackson makes a couple of moves, but he basically goes down where he caught the football. South Florida will have their second offensive possession of the third quarter when we come back.
ESPN College Football. The Meineke Car Care Bowl is brought to you by the Lexus December to Remember sales event. Now through January 3rd. Wendy's Super Value Menu. Do what tastes right. And Energizer. Keep going.
Welcome back, everyone. The South Florida Bulls, they're being shut out by NC State, and they've decided to make some changes. New quarterback in the game. Freshman out of Monticello, Florida, Carlton Hill will take his first snap of the game, and he hands it off to Ricky Ponton. And Ponton barrels ahead across the 30-yard line, loses the football late, but they're going to say he was down after a 7-yard gain.
Yeah, Carlton Hill, he comes in. The future's very bright for him. Talking with the coaching staff for South Florida, he played some at wide receiver because he's so athletic. They just wanted to get him on the field this year. He'll compete for the starting job in the spring and maybe on through next season with Pat Gilmas, but he is a talented youngster they really, really like at South Florida.
His only extensive game action at quarterback on the year was against West Virginia. He was 10 for 22 in that game for 98 yards. Whistles one out in the flat, and it is incomplete, throwing to Andre Hall. It was a forward pass.
You know, I never understand why, you know, when you check a new guy in and he's a youngster, you put him in the football game like that, give him an easy throw. That's one of the toughest throws to make when you're catching a shotgun snap, having to get it up in a throwing position real fast to try to throw a screen. Give me a three-step drop, let me throw a hitch, let me throw a slant route, let me throw something I'm comfortable doing to get myself into this football game other than, you know, the tough way of trying to catch that snap and throw it right away.
Third down and 5. Need to get to the 36-yard line. And they will. Andre Hall with room, trying to split a couple of defenders, stays on his feet and rumbles to the 32-yard line. A gain of 37 yards.
Like that. That's an easy throw. Nice, good screen pass. You see how he draws the rush to him right there. Patience, drawing the rush to him at the last second. Flip it off to Andre Hall and let him do his thing in the open field. And boy, does he do it. Watch this right here. Get spinner. He's spinning him around. He's still going 100 miles an hour up the field. Great vision, great balance by that young man, Andre Hall.
Hill to Hall on the big gainer. First down and 10. Hall on the ground. This time not much doing. He's stopped close to the line of scrimmage. Once again, that swarming Wolfpack defense. Stephen Tulloch wraps him up and brings him down.
All right, Andre Hall out of Dixie Hollings High School. A lot of good players have come through there and contributed to the success of this South Florida team. Head coach Jim Levitt went there. Markel Blackwell, who's a quarterback here, mentioned Andre Hall. Rick Kravitz, the defensive coordinator. So a lot of success out of that high school has been blended into this South Florida program.
I figure Jim Levitt doesn't get lost when he goes to recruit at that school. Second down and 9. Hill flushed, loses the football. Battle for it. Tulloch had it for a moment for NC State. But I think it's going to stay. No. North Carolina State with the football.
Well, it's tough because the quarterback, Carlton Hill, came out with the football. But here, you see the clock? The clock is ticking right there. I got to throw this football away. I'm outside the pocket. He's trying there, but it's too late. A fantastic athletic play by Tulloch, the outside linebacker. But right here, you see the 1-2-3 drop. I start to get pressure. If I can pull it down, now it needs to go sailing out along the sideline somewhere so that you don't take the sack. And then here, the ball's bouncing around. I thought Ricky Ponton was going to have a chance to get on it, but it's Stephen Tulloch who comes up with the football for North Carolina State.
Tulloch with the sack and the fumble recovery. Heck of a play for him. Tony Baker stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Loss on the play.
Well, Tulloch has played a fantastic football game. He was mentioned the fact he was first team All ACC this year. leads the team in tackles and has had a heck of a football game so far, and just under 3 complete quarters of play here for North Carolina State. Coaches really like him. They say in different packages he can play all 3 linebacker positions for the defense.
After a loss of a yard, 2nd down and 11. Marcus Stone throws high and incomplete.
I just don't like the body language. I know he's thrown. He got hot. He went 4 for 6 to end the first half. It looks like down is Tremaine Hall, but he bounces up. But you just don't like the release point and the body language of Marcus Stone if you're trying to pass the football. Just watch him here. His feet are spread way wide, so that's going to allow for the ball to kind of float and drift on you. And it drifted high that time. Sometimes when you have them that far apart, you throw it right into the dirt or at the receiver's feet. It's tough. They really got to get that ironed out. It should have been caught, but it's still, you're expecting a catchable ball when you're that wide open.
3rd down and 11. Stone feels the pressure. Didn't feel it that time. Ball's loose. South Florida looking to get it back. And they do. How about that for a turn of events? Both teams with fumbles in the last couple of minutes, and Jim Leavitt trying to fire up the troops.
You do me, I'll do you one better. And he's the type of coach, he'll get in there, he'll run sprints, do grass drills and all that with his defense and his football team. So they really feed off the energy of Jim Leavitt. And right here, making a play, and coming from behind is Terrence Royal right there. And you're taught, if you see the football as a lineman rushing the quarterback from behind, you go for the football. Fantastic job of getting it out of there.
Jason Allen recovered the fumble.
Boy,
Royals had a game. That's his 2nd sack.
He has had one heck of a football game as well, and looks like he's down along the sideline. But boy, he is playing well. 2nd team All Big East this year for this South Florida football team. Let's take a look and see here. You see Terrence Royal right there from behind, working against Marcus Stone. And then, boy, it's tough to see the injury there.
Carlton Hill still in the game at quarterback.
Looks like he fumbled again.
Loses the football, and they're going to give it to NC State. How about that?
Boy, just game of emotions and momentum, and you can get it and surrender it about as fast as you can get it. I mean, right away, he's pressured, tries to step up in the pocket, and you have to keep both hands on the football in the pocket. When you're playing that position, you'll see it right here. Trying to come through where you get in a crowded area, cover it up. But boy, they do a good job. It looked like number 72, Tank Tyler, was the guy that got his hands in there and forced the fumble on Carlton Hill.
3 fumbles in 5 plays. The ball's changed hands 3 times in 67 seconds.
Florida.
And South Florida just wants to clear their heads right now. They call timeout. Jim Leavitt says, let's cool it, guys.
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. I mean, he was so fired up to get the turnover after the young quarterback Carlton Hill fumble.
Well, we'll try and catch our breath as well. Timeout on the field. And we'll take you with him. 7:20 remaining. 3rd quarter. NC State shutting out the South Florida Bulls. Now, things have gotten a little bit out of hand. Football's been out of a lot of hands in the last minute, 7 seconds. 3 turnovers, fumbles. The balls have been knocked away from quarterbacks twice. Carlton Hill has lost it. Marcus Stone fumbled as well.
I thought most bakeries were closed on Saturday.
Turnovers.
All the turnovers.
Everywhere you look. Wolfpack start on offense. Tony Baker continues to be the featured back. Gets pickup of 3 yards on 1st down.
Let's take a look at the turnovers here. First, it started with Carlton Hill trying to step up in the pocket. Probably should have thrown that football away. And Stephen Tulloch comes up with the football. And then here, Marcus Stone working against Terrence Royal. He comes from behind, strips it out. South Florida gets it the very next play. In the next possession, Carlton Hill once again fumbling, and then North Carolina State operating offensively.
Andre Brown, the deep back, gets the pitch out, tries left side, and Brown, he's not having nearly as much success as Tony Baker. Just picks up 1 yard. Stephen Nichols with the tackle. Heather, what's going on in the field?
You guys, well, Carlton Hill came over after that last series, sat down next to Pat Joel-Smith. He gave him some advice. Andre Hall immediately came over, told him just to take care of the ball. He said, you can do this. Let's not do any of that Michael Vick stuff, okay? Let's keep it simple.
Let's see if he takes that advice. Do you think we will see Carlton Hill for another series when South Florida gets the football?
I think so. When he holds on to the football, good things happen, or has happened in this football game for South Florida. So I look for him to come back in the football game.
3rd down and 6. Marcus Stone has a man wide open, and he hits him. That's Clark with the catch. 1st down and more. Barrels down to the 38-yard line, a pickup of 16 yards.
Boy, what a nice receiver he has been for Marcus Stone since he's been inserted into the lineup. You watch Marcus Stone, the mechanics here. Back, it's out, shoots one out there. There's good velocity on the football, nice and quick. And then you see the speed and quickness of Brian Clark. Averages over 21 yards a reception coming into this football game. Had a touchdown pass for Marcus Stone of 96 yards earlier this year.
1st down. Stone, pump fake. Running out of time. Throws it up for grabs, and it was almost intercepted. Mike Jenkins had a good chance at another turnover.
Well, he had one in his mitts, Mike Jenkins, and just kind of let it get away. But the play before, watch the body language of Marcus Stone. Talked earlier about how I didn't like it. I like it right here. Just a nice quick 3 steps, nice gather up, and he knows the receiver's running a hitch right outside, steps into the throw. And boy, it had nice velocity on the football. He sees the completion, you start to feel it a little bit more.
Terrence Royal has checked back into the game for South Florida. He had to leave a moment ago with an apparent injury. Tony Baker.
And he makes his presence felt right back into the football game. And Terrence Royal down the line of scrimmage and making a tackle right around the line of scrimmage. Going to bring up 3rd down and long. But, boy, what an exceptional athlete. We mentioned the fact 2nd team All Big East this year. He returned a fumble 11 yards for a touchdown against Rutgers in that football game. Scarlet Knights playing in a bowl game this year.
Just saw the production for Royal. He has improved every single year for Coach Levitt. 3rd down and 10. Stone, another quick pass, caught, tight end T.J. Williams, and Williams inside the 5.
Well, just a matter of time when they're going to get it to their leading receiver. But watch the protection here for Marcus Stone that allows him to step up in the pocket and make a play. You see him here, you're going to read it right from behind the quarterback. Nice job by number 71, Derek Morris, and allows him time to get the football to T.J. Williams, their leading receiver. We're talking to Mark Trestman, the offensive coordinator. He will play on the next level, and Mark Trestman should know because he's coached in the NFL before and been around some pretty good tight ends. Says, hey, T.J. Williams, he'll have a chance on the next level.
T.J. Williams, his 36th catch of the year, goes for 36 yards. 1st down and goal. Tony Baker spins, fights, and doesn't get in.
Well, they are stingy when you get in. They will make you use all 4 of your downs once you get inside the in a goal-to-goal situation for South Florida. They don't back down. They've been only broke one time to Andre Brown. And they got down here, and then the touchdown pass was outside to Brian Clark. But you try to go to the middle of that formation, it's tough going.
Big fellas up front. Tim Jones right there looking for a confrontation, trying to keep this game manageable. A touchdown here, and it's tough going for South Florida. Baker with the carry, and Baker fights.
They're going to call it just short.
Knocking on the door, but no one's answering just yet. Inside the 1-yard line.
Yeah, it looked like he may have fallen in here. I mean, it just nice pad levels low. And you see here, nice driving still. Let's see. Oh, may have touched right there. I thought he touched the goal line. You see it here. Pad levels nice and low, continuing to run, puts the hand down to get himself a lunge. And boy, that is close.
This play is under review. We have Big Ten officials up in the booth with the instant replay. The technical advisors taking a look at this right now.
See it here, and there's the football. The arm is down, and then here comes the football, which is right on the end. I think it's in. I think it's a touchdown.
His elbow was down first. It looked to me like his elbow was down and the football was still outside the goal line.
Look at it here, just the push, and then right there, I think it's a touchdown. I think this is going to be overturned for 6 points. We're going to get a quick review here.
After review, the play stands as called. Player was down,
you win.
short of the goal line.
You win. It's a tough call because, momentum took him down, but you may be right. The elbow may have gone down first. I thought it was a touchdown, though.
Well, Chuckamotto can't be too concerned. They still have a couple more downs to play with. Third, and you can't get much closer than where they are right now.
Right, whoever can get low and get in there and dig in the trenches right now and get some push, this penetration from one side or the other when you're in a situation like this.
Demario Presley, defensive tackle, has come in as a fullback, and he pushes his quarterback, Marcus Stone, from behind, and they still don't get in.
They ruled him short.
Ball came loose late.
You're going to see Marcus Stone just kind of disappear into the line here, trying to get some push, get a snap, and follow the center and the right guard, but they get tremendous penetration up front. Alan Craig, John Simmons, Ben Moffitt.
All right, play call. Chuckamotto's going to go for it. Are you surprised?
Not at all. How about some play action right now?
Tony Baker, the deep back behind Demario Presley.
Everybody in the stadium thinking Tony Baker.
Stone keeps it, and Stone
hadn't had a signal yet. No touchdown.
Stone is stoned. Doesn't make it in. How about that for a goal line stand?
What a heck of a play down there. Nice goal line stand. Tim Jones was the guy that kind of unraveled from the bottom. And Marcus Stone comes up just short here, trying to get himself into the end zone.
They knocked on the door 4 times, and nobody answered. NC State, a little bit of a dejection among the offensive linemen. They were right there, point-blank range. They cannot get the score.
Yeah, if you're the quarterback, you're just trying to get low, get behind those big offensive linemen and push. And it looks like the football, you think it's right up high in the arm of Marcus Stone. It actually comes loose a little bit and ends up around his waist. I thought it was a good call by the officials, just short of getting in.
Under the ball on the 1-yard line, they bring the veteran in. Pat Julemus is the quarterback again. And he keeps himself and doesn't get many yards.
Well, this is what I would do. I mean, you hear me talk about this all the time, but I would take, as a quarterback, you take a drop and you take a shot down the field. I'm serious. And here's why. And a lot of coaches will agree with me. It's because you're either going to get pass interference or you hit one down the field, but you don't want to get caught in here. Bad snap. First, you got to get the snap. Oh, boy, that was almost disaster.
Ball's gotten real slick right now for the USF Bulls.
The quarterbacks can't hold on to it for the Bulls.
They've already had 2 fumbles in this quarter. And then they go deep. Jomas just throws it up. And it's incomplete jump ball to the former basketball player Amari Jackson, broken up by A.J. Davis.
Well, he just threw the football down the field, not even really looking at where the receiver was going down the field. You got to at least throw an accurate pass in the line. They try to go jump ball here, but 3-step drop, it's got to come out fast. You don't want to delay and take a safety back there, but you're giving your receiver an opportunity to make a play down the field. Sometimes you get the flag, and that gives you the breathing room that you need. That's why, when I explained it to you, I'd take the shot. You take a pass, it's got to come out of there fast, though, because you don't want the safety.
The Bulls just trying to get some yards here on 3rd down and get away from their own goal line. Jomas throws it to no one in particular. Throws it out of bounds, and they're going to have to punt from about the half-yard line.
Yeah, he went away from the one-on-one coverage with the receiver. Number 18, Amari Jackson, was matched up on A.J. Davis on the backside. They roll away from him, which is rolling away from the one-on-one coverage, which is what you're looking for in that circumstance. Sort the thing out, find it in your pre-snap read, where you're going to get the one-on-one coverage from, and that's where you want to work when you're down close inside your own goal line.
Brandon Baker's already had one punt blocked. Dangerous situation for South Florida. Wolfpack pinning their ears back. They're coming after this one.
Well, they could just raise up and throw it out here. Nobody on that receiver.
Low snap, and Baker somehow gets it away, but it's returnable. Tremaine Hall has it at the 30-yard line. And Hall loses the football. NC State jumps on it. How about this? NC State recovers. Andre Brown, Johnny on the spot. Flag is down on the field.
Well, I tell you right now, NC State getting all the bounces in this football game. It's come loose a couple of times, and Jim Levitt and his South Florida football team have only come up with one fumble recovery. And an excellent job by Brandon Baker getting that football out.
During a return, illegal block in the back, number 9 of the receiving team. That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
It had an awkward look to it. They left both gunners uncovered. Low snap, and just a heck of a job getting that football out of there by Brandon Baker, the punter. And here you're going to see Tremaine Hall catch the football. The ball comes loose. And good job on the part of South Florida. Actually, it was Philip Holman, the reserve defensive back.
Andre Brown with the carry on first down. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, but no more. Andre Brown has not had the game that he would have liked to. He has had his share of carries, but he hadn't had the big gainer yet. Just 19 yards on the game. His counterpart, Tony Baker, backfield mate, 18 carries, 81 yards. Left side. Brown lowers his head and is brought down at the 35-yard line after a pickup of 3 yards.
Yeah, brought down by Carlton Williams, who basically started every game this year, forced into the lineup after starter Danny Perpel sustained a mid-foot injury in the preseason and had to sit out the whole year.
Third quarter winds down. South Florida, they're struggling right now against Marcus Stone and the NC State Wolfpack. Welcome back to the Meineke Car Care Bowl. Third quarter was scoreless. The only quarter where we've seen points was in the second quarter. NC State with 2 touchdowns against South Florida. Third down and 7. Marcus Stone under center. Under pressure, and Stone slips away from the first tackler, lowers his head, and pushes the pile towards the first down marker.
Yeah, and now it's in a part of the field where Chuck Amato may start thinking about going for it here on fourth down. I mean, good job by Marcus Stone. He pulls it down and gets up the field. And looks like an injured player, Derek Morris, the right tackle. He's been finally healthy this season after struggling with injuries all of last year. Came back to start the final 2 games of last season.
Well, experience ESPN and ABC Sports' first ever Tournament of Roses parade float. The magic of sports in HD. Join Terry Hatcher and James Denton for the Tournament of Roses parade. That's Monday, January 2nd at 11 a.m. Eastern on ABC and in high definition through ABC HD. Andre, 4th down and 1. They're going to go for the field goal. Your thoughts?
I mean, you want points here. It's certainly in a situation they've run the ball well enough to where you start to at least consider going for it, but you have an opportunity for points here. He feels good. During his long for the season is 48 yards, so well within his range.
This is a 48-yarder. Gets a lot of foot into it. And it's wide left. No good for Duraney.
Plenty of distance, just pulled it just a tad, and now South Florida, I'll tell you, if they could get anything going offensively, they've turned the football over here in the second half.
Sure. 2
consecutive possessions, and well, if they could get something going, they could get themselves back in this football game. They are not out of it whatsoever. You see Delaney here, he hits it good. It just keeps traveling left just a little bit and right outside the left goalpost.
Yeah, South Florida, they've dodged some bullets. In that third quarter, they lost 2 fumbles. They were backed up. They had to punt it out of their own end zone under duress.
Dodged a bullet down there when Joe mishandled the snap, and should have been a safety. It was close to being a safety.
Inside handoff. And first down yards on the run.
You just wonder, why can't they do that all the time? It's because the defense makes adjustments, too, and shuts things down, giving different looks. Certain plays work against certain looks. And there, Ricky Ponton steps up and makes a big play for the offense. They're going to have a whole lot more of that, though. Pretty quick.
Yeah, South Florida, they're going to need to get it done sooner rather than later. They're going to have to rely on their passing game to pick up these 2 scores. That's going to be a very tall order. First down at 10. Option look. Throw it out. Andre Hall, another big gainer. Another first down, back-to-back plays. Rips of 10 yards or more for South Florida. Pickup of 11.
Boy, he gets an excellent block by Ricky Ponton. Right on the outside edge, right there. You see number 5 chopping down the edge of the corner there, and then allows for Andre Hall to turn the football up the field for another first down. So 2 plays, 2 first downs for the South Florida Bulls on the move right now here in the fourth quarter.
South Florida into enemy territory. Ball spotted on the 48-yard line. Man in motion, S.J. Green. Try to flip it out to Andre Hall, and it's too hard.
Yeah, it's going to be holding. Going to have a holding penalty. It looks like it may be Cedric Watson, the left tackle, who checked into the football game, and that's what it's going to be. It seems like every time they get something going, there's always a penalty or a turnover that stops
Number 75, offense. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
It's actually Walter Walker, the other tackle on the right side, who platoons in there with Mark Dial. You'll see it. It's trying to set up the screen right on the right side, working against Mario Williams. And right there, I mean, that's as blatant as you can get. The officials right on top of that one. You can't miss it. You turn a guy's body entirely around, they're going to call that one.
First down at 20. Ponton with the carry. Picks up 2 yards. South Florida quickly back to the line of scrimmage on second down and 18. Jolmis throws over the middle, incomplete. Looking for Torres Johnson, and the throw sails a little bit wide. Now for a preview of the Houston Bowl. Let's go down to Houston and Dave Barnett. Dave? Thanks, Dave. That's your neck of the woods, Andre.
Yeah, down inside Reliance Stadium.
Trying to set up a screen and nothing doing at all. Stephen Tulloch just blew up that play. And the South Florida Bulls are going to have to give the football away.
Well, he's had one heck of a football game. Stephen Tulloch all over the field, had a sack in this football game and a bunch of tackles. You called his name a whole lot this afternoon. Good players play big in big games, and this is a big game, a bowl game. Both these two teams, and he has really, really elevated his play.
11 tackles now for Tulloch. On 4th and 18, Brandon Baker will punt it away. He's been a busy man. High kick, it's a spiral. Fair catch called for and made at the 18-yard line by Tremaine Hall. Marcus Stone getting some last moment instructions. He'll be back on the field when we come back. We're back at the Meineke Car Care Bowl, and earlier this week, well, we already showed you what was going on at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. There was a tire-changing contest. Well, they weren't just working on cars, they were working in cars. Players got a chance to take a couple of laps. And how about that, Andre? 170 miles per hour going around the track. Terrifying.
You do that in your car, don't you?
Yeah. Would you have taken a lap?
Oh, yeah. Just once. Probably been enough.
More of a thrill seeker than I am. Well, it's been a thrill so far for NC State. They've got a 14-0 lead, just trying to milk some clock, and they're doing it the appropriate way. Giving it to Andre Brown. And Brown, with his most effective run of the afternoon, gets out close to midfield, 27 yards on that gainer.
Yeah, now you see the power and the speed that he has right here. A little underneath handoff, freeze it right there. And the alley's right back to the left side of the formation. And Andre Brown breaking the tackle of Terrence Royal, and then it's off to the races. And you see the acceleration for the big guy.
Andre Brown, after that long run, starting to have his day round into shape. He's starting to get up the Tony Baker category. They both have played well in the second half. Brown still in the game. He's next to Marcus Stone, who's in the shotgun. And there was confusion before the play, and North Carolina State has to burn another timeout.
That's their second. Correction. First timeout.
Chuck Amato's team calls timeout. Well, Monday, Capital One Bowl week comes to a close on ESPN as Drew Tate and the Iowa Hawkeyes take on Chris Leak and the Florida Gators in the Outback Bowl. That's at 11 o'clock Eastern. The Outback Bowl is preceded by a special 1.5-hour college game day built by the Home Depot beginning at 9:30 Eastern time.
Chris Leak had somewhat of an up and down year this year, trying to get adjusted to the spread offense of Urban Meyer. I think he's more of a classic pocket passer. He throws the football exceptionally well and on time. If you dropping him back and letting him throw from the pocket, I think it's a little tough on him to kind of run the option attack because he's not familiar with it. He didn't do it in high school. He was a throwing quarterback when he was in high school. That's kind of tough.
You were a running quarterback in high school.
It's a little bit easier to make that adjustment, though. Yeah, it's a little bit easier. You can run a little bit. They can teach you how to throw.
You caught on pretty darn quick.
Can't teach you to run, though.
Marcus Stone, hands off on first down. Tough sledding on the inside part of that line for Andre Brown. Picks up 1, maybe 2 yards. Bring up a second down and long. North Carolina State, 6-5 on the year, taking on a 6-5 South Florida team. Big difference, though, is the way these two teams had their seasons go. Chuck Amato's team, they started out slowly. Jim Leavitt's team, his team started out hot. End of the season, they faded. They lost their last couple of games. While NC State played well, won their last game against Maryland to become bowl eligible, and enters this game on an uptick.
Yeah, when I talked to Jim Leavitt, he talked about stopping the run and forcing North Carolina State to throw the football, and they hadn't been able to do that. And when North Carolina State runs the football, and they rush for over 100 yards. We talked about it earlier. They're 4-1 on the season when they rush for 100 yards or more as a team. So they're well on pace to go 5-1.
Marcus Stone tries to spin away from a tackler, is able to throw the football away. Marcus Stone, he's a big fella. He's able to break tackles. John Simmons had him in his sights, but he was able to stay on his feet long enough to throw the football away.
You see the athletic ability. It's just pure athletic ability when you got a guy draped around you and your presence of mind to still be able physically to get the football out and across the line of scrimmage so that you avoid the sack. And he's turned it into a pretty respectable day. 50% on the afternoon, 127 yards and a touchdown. All they ask him to do really is manage the football, move it a little bit in the air, and let the two guys behind you, have the stage.
Stone slips and falls down. Wrapped up, Terrence Royal, first person to touch him down. That's his third sack of the game.
Yeah, it's the third sack, and he was held by James Newby, the left tackle, as he was going around him, just a speed rush around the outside. And Terrence Royal was able to get Marcus Stone on the ground, but boy, he got away. Newby got away with a hold. The officials didn't see that one.
Jackie Chambers back deep to field this punt from John Deraney. And Deraney, under duress, gets it off. High kick out of bounds inside the 30-yard line. So the South Florida Bulls will have the ball, and they'll try and get something going against this ferocious Wolfpack defense. But here at halftime, festivities continued. They're giving away free car. A shot, I don't know what you actually call those things, those howitzers up into the air. And the person who had the confetti come out would win a new car, and it was Helen Mitchell.
Helen Mitchell. And for everyone at Meineke Car Care Centers across the country,
KC, South Carolina, driving home in style.
Nice.
All those contests, you don't think you're going to enter the I'll never win. Someone always does.
Good for her.
All right, South Florida, Andre, they need something to happen offensively.
They got to get the football moving here.
I think they're going to be moving
another
backwards.
flag. False start.
Number 74, offense.
I don't know if it's
That's a 5-yard penalty. Still, first down.
just maybe being overwhelmed by the first bowl game. A lot of mistakes by this football team, and it seems like when they move the football, and they've done it at times through this game, then all of a sudden it's plays like that stop you, and those are drive killers.
South Florida has played 99 football games in their history. They have never been shut out. Right now, desperate times. Ricky Pant with the carry. Picks up what they just lost, plus a couple of more. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 7.
You know, you talk to coaches, and they can put up with the effort penalties. Every once in a while, you're going to have a hold where a guy just beats you, and you're going to have to hold him, or a pass interference penalty. But it's the false starts and jumping off sides and things of that sort that drive coaches crazy. And that's what has happened to this offense for South Florida throughout most of this football game, is just the penalties before the snap even takes place.
Julmis throws, and it's a strike complete to Marcus Edwards, his first catch of the game, and it's going to be just short of a first down.
Well, nice effort trying to get the first down. A good open field tackle by Garland Heath. You'll see him here. He gets Tulloch is trying to bring pressure. Gets the receiver matched up one-on-one. Good job by Pat Julmis sorting things out, finding the one-on-one coverage, and then getting the football out fast enough for his receiver to make a play for him.
That was Julmis' first completion of the second half. He's just 1 for 6. They're going to try and power this football, and they do effectively. Andre Hall jumps over the pack and picks up a first down.
You know, there's a sense of urgency when you're down 14 points and you're down around just under 10 minutes in a football game. Clock will stop as they move the chains. But then there's this sense of urgency you better have. You got to pretty much score here to get yourself in the football game. There's plenty of time to get back in it. But now you got to kind of speed things up offensively, quicken your pace a little bit if you're Pat Julmis in this offense of South Florida.
You just saw Jim Levitt glance up at the score and the clock. He knows that he needs to get something done soon because they don't have the fast break offense where they can score in bunches. S.J. Green has that ball bounce off of his hands.
Yeah, and they've really struggled in the pass game. Mentioned it earlier that they've only thrown 1 touchdown pass with 7 interceptions to go along with that in their last 5 ball games. So we asked Coach Levitt, said, you know, we can't afford to get behind by too much because we just can't throw our way back in it. And here time is working against them.
Their passing offense is ranked 108th in the country. There's only 119 Division I teams. Andre Hall, effective run on the ground. Hall with room and a chance. Right sideline, pushed out of bounds inside the 20. Marcus Hudson finally tracks him down, but not before a gain of 41 yards.
A couple of those, and that'll get you back in a football game in a hurry. You see him start right in the middle of the formation and then hit it down the backside. Pause it right there. Look at all that running room back to the right side of the formation, and he hits it, and all of a sudden he's waiting on a block from S.J. Green down the field. Just give me something. Anything, just a piece of a jersey, and I may be able to turn the corner and get that baby into the end zone.
All over 100 yards on the day.
So important for receivers to block down the field.
Ponton with the carry. Trying to give Paul a little bit of a breather. He is stonewalled Brought down right at the line of scrimmage.
Trying to throw North Carolina State a changeup, both Ponton and Hall in the backfield together. So you don't know which direction they're coming from, left or right, right or left. One underneath, one blocking for the other.
But he's run the football pretty effective himself, Ricky Ponton. Andre Hall a little bit tired.
121 yards today. They were 5-0 when he goes over the 100-yard mark, and 1-5 when he doesn't. So that's how much the ground game and the production of Andre Hall means to this football team.
Pass over the middle is juggled and dropped. Ponton had it, then lost it. Paid the price, even though he didn't even make a catch.
Well, let's listen to this lick. I mean, he paid the price. Garland Heath showing up angry. Let you hear it right here. Oh, that's crunchy.
Whew. Man, and Ponton, he's going to need to collect himself for a moment. He takes off the helmet and he's going to grab a seat.
Yeah, Oliver Hoyt was coming up as well. He and Garland Heath getting in on the action together.
Third down. Lob it up towards the end zone, and it's intercepted. Garland Heath with the pick. His 5th interception of the season.
This pass right here tells me that Pat Jomas has a long way to go as a quarterback, and we'll tell you why when we come back from this break.
ESPN College Football. The Meineke Car Care Bowl is brought to you by Meineke Car Care Center. Right service, right price. And in part by Subaru, a world leader in all-wheel drive technology. Think, feel, drive, Subaru. And Alka-Seltzer. Break up stomach discomfort and pain with Alka-Seltzer.
Welcome back to Charlotte, North Carolina. Troubles continue for the South Florida Bulls. They've yet to put any points on the board, and they've done a good job of shooting themselves in the foot. They have 3 turnovers now, 2 fumbles lost, and Pat Julmus with an interception just moments ago. Tony Baker with the carry for NC State, and he gets to about the 23-yard line.
Well, let's go back and take a look at the replay. Here you got inside help on the corner, the inside position. You're going to have help over the top back in here by the free safety. You want to throw this football, pause it right there, on the back edge of the receiver. If you just rear back and lob it, the safety has an opportunity. That's his job, help over the top. You're throwing to a spot here as opposed to throwing to the receiver. That's what you get when you do that. It lets me know that he's got a little ways to go in terms of reading coverages and recognizing position of defenders so that he can work effectively in the passing game.
Marcus Stone keeps it himself, spins, and is brought down hard by Carlton Williams.
You know, as a result, Eric Julmus only 4 of 16 for 35 yards and an interception in this football game.
If they want to get back in this game, will Julmus be under center next time they have the football?
Tough decision. I mean, he's got the most experience, but we talked about it. They couldn't afford to get themselves down by a whole lot in this game and pass their way back into it. But once you have that kind of position, the defender's high on top, the fade automatically becomes what we call a fade stop, and you stop the receiver by throwing the football to his back shoulder, allowing him to adjust and make a turn and a play on the football.
3rd down and 1. Stone throws along the right sideline, incomplete. Lamar Barrett, the intended receiver.
And the difference there, same coverage, but the receiver got on top of the defensive back. There was separation there. If he throws him a little better football, could be in the hole between the safety and the corner, and he's off to the races. You don't want to lob it up because that safety comes racing in from the hash mark, and it's an interception like Garland Heath had down near the goal line.
NC State doing South Florida some favors. A quick 3 and out. John Duraney will have to attempt his 7th punt of the game. Jackie Chambers awaits. Movement on the line, and NC State, they're going to more than likely move back 5 yards.
Number 19, offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Still, 4th down.
And here's one for you. 7:08 left in this football game. South Florida still in the game. I mean, they are still in it. A quick score. a hold on defense, a stop on defense, and you got the ball to work with again. There's plenty of time for him to get back in this football game. They just got to quit making mistakes.
Rainey's 7th punt, maybe his best.
Did a good one here.
Oh, man, all the way back to the 26-yard line. Chambers falls down. 50-yard punt, 3-yard return. Let's go back to the studio. And Dave Repson. Dave.
All right, over on ESPN, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl underway. Tulsa and Fresno State. Bulldogs on top 7-zip, and Earl Parrish takes care of that. A 22-yard TD run for him. Tied up at 7. Eric?
Right, Fresno State, they gave USC all they could handle late one night. I remember staying up trying to watch that one, and then all of a sudden they have just fallen off the map after a tough effort they gave against USC.
South Florida trying to make something happen underneath 7 minutes to play in this 4th Meineke Car Care Bowl. Pitch out to Andre Hall. And Hall can't get away from Tulloch.
Well, there's the old two-man rule outside the tackle, get out of the play. It just leads me to believe that Paul Julmas doesn't have a whole lot of flexibility in terms of checking out of certain plays. When you have those two guys outside the tackle box, you got the big defensive end over there, big 95 James Martin, and Ronaldo Moses to this side, and then the linebacker scrapes outside. You got to get out of that play.
Julmas throws. It's caught. Going out of bounds is Jackie Chambers after a short gain. It'll bring up almost a must 3rd down situation here.
And a good job there. They short roll him out and allow him to get outside the pocket. He may be better served throwing the football on the move. Some guys just can't adjust to sitting in the pocket and making throws. And if he's an athletic quarterback, move him around a little bit and let him make some plays, some run pass options to mix in there. But that was a well-thrown football.
That aggressive defensive line will be charging towards Mr. Julmas right here on 3rd down at 7. Steps up in the pocket and goes down. 5th sack of the game for NC State. It's that man again, Stephen Tulloch. What a force he is.
Boy, he has been playing some fantastic football this afternoon. You see him right here. It's a little bit of a delayed blitz, and then all of a sudden it opens up, and right there I'm going to go and straight to the quarterback, just kind of eyeing the quarterback, allowing the linemen to take their sets and get themselves set and helping each other out. And then a little delayed blitz by Stephen Tulloch.
Tulloch came into the game with 3 sacks. He's doubled that total. He's got 3 today. And a fake punt, wide open. And how about that trickery? S.J. Green has the football, and a big gain for the Bulls. Just what the doctor ordered, a pickup of 31 yards, Baker to Green.
And they had it when they were backed up down on the goal line. You thought I was losing my mind by saying, hey, that's wide open. You can raise up and give it to him. But right here, he's just going to release down the center of the field. Nobody is accounting for him, and a fantastic job of completing the pass. You see, everybody's holding inside. He gets behind the second wave of defenders. Boy, 1st down for South Florida. Did they need that in a bad way?
Baker had his choice of wide open receivers.
Yep. I mean, just running wide open. I think they were concentrating more on coming after the punter and just allowed Baker to release down the field. Excuse me, S.J. Green down the field.
Baker may be auditioning to be the new quarterback.
Well, he's completing it. Yeah, he's completing
the game for South Florida. Ricky Ponton with the carry. Picks up a yard, maybe 2 on 1st down. Okay, they got momentum right now. Give us some play call. What can they do effectively to try and get to that end zone? Well, they're running out of time.
I think they've got some slants, and I think that's the area in which Pat Julmas can work, is that you throw some quick things and get the football out, let his receivers make some plays. The longer he sits back there, that rush starts to come. All of a sudden, your eyes go from down the field into the line of scrimmage to the offensive line and defensive linemen who are rushing you.
Pass is incomplete in the flat. It'll bring up a 3rd down and long. We are here in Charlotte, North Carolina. 2 6-5 teams battling for the first time ever in their school's history. Bank of America Stadium. South Florida just in their 9th season of playing football, only their 5th season of 1A football.
Yeah, and North Carolina State, they have forced them out of running the football. 14-0 lead with just under 5 minutes. They have forced them to become one-dimensional. Now they've got to throw the football to get back in it.
Julmas has his pass tipped, incomplete, looking for Jackie Chambers over the middle. It's going to bring up a 4th down and long and a decision time for South Florida.
Well, I think you got to go for it. I mean, you have to go for it. You're thinking about maybe picking up half of it on third down to kind of get yourself in that third medium, third to short, so that you can go ahead and go for it. But here, this is critical for them. They've got to go for it here on fourth down.
You just saw the 3 first-team All-ACC performers for NC State all doing their jobs thus far.
Only 3 pass rushers, but 2 of them pretty good for North Carolina State.
Bulls need to get to the 31-yard line. Julmis steps up and goes down.
That's amazing. Amazing. You've got 5 guys up front to block their 3, and they still get tremendous pressure. Manny Lawson off the right edge, sacking Pat Julmis again.
Julmis, he's going to have nightmares about this Wolfpack defense. They have been coming guns a-blazing all afternoon long. Now the Bulls of South Florida playing in their first ever bowl game. They're starting to have a look of despair. They're scuffling right now. They've never been shut out in school history through 99 games, but game number 100, the odds are looking a little long for them. New quarterback in the game for NC State. Man who started the season as their quarterback from a season ago. Jay Davis is under center. Handoff goes to Tony Baker, and Baker's still on his feet. Working hard, gets across the 50-yard line. Heather, it's been a difficult day for South Florida and their quarterback, Pat Julmis.
That's right. Talking about those inconsistencies, they've had the problem all season long. Talked to Jim Levitz yesterday, and he said the problem with Pat is that he tries to do too much on his own. He's trying to win these games by himself, and if you just let him work with the offense, they'd be way better off. Fortunately, it's kind of late in the game right now. We'll see if he can try to make something happen from here on out, guys.
Thanks, Heather. Well, it's next spring. He's going to be in a real contest with Carlton Hill.
Just a flat-out war, and I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 guys enter next season playing in a platoon-type deal with both quarterbacks playing.
Darrell Blackman with the carry. And Blackman in space gets inside the 30 before Stephen Nicholas makes the tackle.
Another parade All-American. Just a sophomore. Darrell Blackman. I tell you, boy, that big offensive line for North Carolina State opening some things up. You see him here and designed to get outside, running with toughness, hits the edge, and boy, they've got some talent. They've got three talented guys that they can plug into that lineup and have success. And the big guys up front.
They call them the killer bees in the backfield. They got Blackman, they got Brown, and they got Baker. And you saw what Blackman can do. That was his first carry. Picks up 23 yards. Tremaine Hall is being helped off the field.
Yeah, every one of them averaged over 4 yards a carry. Blackman at 4, Brown at 5.3, and then Baker is at 4.5. That was coming into the football game. Baker has a new career high, 21 rushes, 94 yards in this football game.
That's a nice sound to hear. Fans putting their hands together for Tremaine Hall, who is a senior, a 5th-year senior for Chuck Amato. Just saw him being helped off the field. And there's a large contingent of Wolfpack fans that have made the trip down from Raleigh and putting their hands together, making sure that he understands that his contribution to the program has been noticed over the years. Blackman still in the game. He's the deep back. Takes the handoff from Jay Davis. Looks for room. And it's dropped at the 29-yard line. Patrick St. Louis credited with the tackle.
We talked about Tremaine Hall. He graduated December 14th, which was his 24th birthday. Ranked 6th all-time coming into this game with 125 career receptions. So got a lot out of him. He had a great career. Senior at Deerfield Beach, Florida, is where he's from. LA Valley Junior College. Signed out of a junior college to come to North Carolina State. Could have gone elsewhere, but chose to come back to North Carolina State, where he had originally committed to out of high school.
Handoff, Tony Baker trying to work some clock. Baker is dropped at the 25-yard line. Today at 2:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2, the TCU Horned Frogs take on the Cyclones of Iowa State in the EV1.net Houston Bowl. The EV1.net Houston Bowl is part of Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN2. You can catch that game on ESPN2 HD. you have it. Clock continues to roll. Coming up on the 2-minute mark as you take a look at Tremaine Hall. Talk about being a team player. 2 years ago, he had 69 catches on the season, third all-time behind only Torrey Holt and Jericho Cotchery. But they've changed their offense. They wanted to be more ball control, and he hasn't had much of an ego. He said, we'll do whatever we need to win games. And the Wolfpack have turned their season around because of attitudes like that.
Yeah, and you know what? A good sign of a good coaching staff is when they recognize where the talent is and they adjust the unit, whether it be offense or defense, to have success where the talent lies. And they knew that they had 3 pretty good running backs that were going to step up, and they wanted to kind of mold the offense around those 3 runners. And he was a guy that said, hey, you know, I'm a team player, Tremaine Hall, and took a back seat to what the changes that Chuck Amato wanted to make.
Timeout is called by South Florida. That's the last time they can stop the clock. And how about a defensive performance by the NC State Wolfpack? They were ferocious from the opening whistle.
Yeah.
The big players, the all-ACC performers, Manny Lawson, Mario Williams, and Stephen Tulloch, they all got it done. And Tulloch just a little bit extra special, and because of that, he's our player of the game.
All right, he has had a sensational day. You see him here on a blitz coming off the edge, getting to Pat Jomas, and then right here stepping up, making plays, causing a fumble. And right here in the open field, getting Andre Hall on the ground. And that's a tough, tough task. And once again, another sack. Big-time play by Stephen Tulloch. That's why he's our player of the game.
And the numbers bear it out. 14 tackles, 3 sacks. No doubt about that. He's our Capital One player of the game.
Oh, that's amazing. 14 tackles, 3 sacks to go along with it. Wow. What a day. What a day.
43-yard field goal. Going to be attempted by John Duraney. Duraney not only the punter, but also the place kicker. And it hits the goalpost and bounces back onto the field of play. So it's still a 14-0 game.
Well, Jim Leavitt still coaching. He is still coaching. Well, he just there will be no quit in his kids. I mean, and that is what he wants to filter all throughout his program. You see here, Duraney, nice, a little bit behind him, but he gets a nice hole there. Doesn't throw the timing off too much. Body language trying to pull it in there, and it just hits the upright. I've seen him hit and go in, but that one hit square and came straight back down.
So still life for South Florida. Down 2 scores. They have no timeouts. No way of stopping the clock unless they go out of bounds or throw an incomplete pass. All sails high on the perimeter. Looking to squeeze it to S.J. Green.
Well, he looked left. Taurus Johnson, the wide receiver, was open, and he got off him. He was running a little curl route. Got off him a little bit too early. Tried to go all the way back to the other side of the field. And, boy, when you do that late, sometimes you pay the price. Those guys are breaking to the football at that time.
Jewel miss under pressure. Goes down again. Another sack. That's the 6th sack by the defense of NC State. Mario Williams combining with Ronaldo Moses for the stop.
Yeah, they call Ronaldo Moses their pass rush specialist. Believe it or not, those other 2 guys, Williams and Lawson, are in there as well. But you see the pressure here. Look at the guy redirect. That's just pure athletic ability right there. When you're up the field, engaged with an offensive lineman, and you can wheel your body around like that and make a sack. Boy, that's amazing.
Jewel miss running for his life. Throws late over the middle, and it is complete. Jackie Chambers with the sliding catch, and he goes down in a hump.
It looks like he may have a hamstring here, and he gets away from Mario Williams as well as Stephen Tulloch. The receiver's still down, Jackie Chambers. He started as a true freshman last year. He's kind of worked himself in and out of the lineup. See here, Jomas just buying himself some time, continuing to compete, and right there throws a nice ball just beyond the first down marker, and or just when his team really had to have it. Looks like it maybe cramps or
looks like he's going to be okay. Trying to get
him hydrated. Yeah.
Julmus takes off, lowers the head, crosses the 50. Clock's still going to run after he picks up 8 yards. Coming up, bottom of the hour, 2:30. Gets the 14th ranked Texas Christian University Horned Frogs taking on the Cyclones of Iowa State. EV1.net Houston Bowl. Quick pass is complete. Clock will stop temporarily after the first down is recorded. Courtney Denson, who started a game this year as a quarterback, makes that catch.
Well, sometimes you have to play and try to speed the tempo up. Maybe they should have gone to this no huddle a little bit sooner in this football game, try to establish some rhythm offensively, because it seems like Pat Julmus, and I think you take an element out of thinking out of your quarterback as well. He's just got to react because he's at the line of scrimmage. You're calling plays for him. Now you just react as opposed to trying to drop back and think your way through reading coverages and things of that sort. You establish a little better rhythm offensively.
Jim Leavitt has his program in their first ever bowl game. Back in 1997 was the first year that they played any collegiate football games. And back then, they were a 1AA team. Julmus runs, throws, complete inside the 25-yard line. Jackie Chambers back on the field with that catch.
They're trying to get up and clock the football. They've got the linemen up to the line of scrimmage. Clock stops because the chains are moving.
And again, Julmus just stops the clock.
Well, they're going to have a couple of shots at the end zone here. 3 downs. Can still pick up a first down just inside the 10-yard line, right about the 10-yard line. 26 seconds left in this ball game. Trying to avoid the shutout.
They've never been shut out before. 99 games.
I'm going to ask you a question. If you've never been shut out before, and it gets to 4th down and you're down here, would you kick the field goal?
No. Would you?
No. I would not kick the field goal.
I don't think anyone on the field knows that they've never been shut out.
I don't care about who. Yeah, that's right. You don't kick it. You go ahead and you try to score. The big number.
Julmus running for his life, trying to get out of bounds, and he does, but he takes a thumping. Clock stop with 18 seconds remaining. Mario Williams, been a man among boys.
Yeah, they got a big decision to make. They're trying to decide. He's just a junior, whether or not he'll enter the draft. And I mean, he is entertaining the thought, trying to figure out just where he'll be drafted. So he's sorting through some things.
Manny Lawson playing his final game, that's for sure. He's a senior. And
yep.
What a 4-year career he's had.
I mean, amazing. You talk about 20 tackles for a loss coming into this game, 10 sacks this year. But they have been 2 bookends, 2 solid bookends for this defense.
3rd and 4. Going high. Miscommunication inside the 5-yard line. Looked like Amari Jackson zigged when he should have zagged. Marcus Hudson almost had another interception.
We're just really not on the same page there. I guess Julmus thought he was going to carry it on through, so he threw the football up the field. And Amari Jackson hooked up just inside the goal line. Chuck Amato. You better locate that
the Gatorade bucket.
Gatorade bucket.
Never put on a poncho. 4th down and 4. This is it. South Florida, one last gash to the end zone. Incomplete. A.J. Davis caught it, but he was out of bounds, and the ball will go over to NC State.
Just a rough day for Pat Julmus. Just kind of a lot of mistakes early in this football game caused them to really get out of their game plan of wanting to run Andre Brown, and you see the frustration. I mean, when you come into a situation and for the first time and you're trying to compete, you just kind of feel helpless. And you see the frustration on the face of Jim Leavitt, right? They're just disappointed in the effort of his football team. Felt like the end of last season they really weren't putting out the type of effort he wanted as a head football coach, and he really got the effort all this season, but not this afternoon.
South Florida, no way of stopping the clock. Jay Davis takes a knee, and that'll do it. Congratulations to Chuck Amato and the NC State Wolfpack. Amato is now 4-1 in bowl games.
He ducked the Gatorade. It's down 2 times and all lay.
He's still got some good wheels.
Oh, the big fella.
The 2005 Meineke Car Care Bowl champions are the NC State Wolfpack.
I tell you, Right here, check it out. I mean, they had him. They're trying to hold him. Wait a minute. Trying to get the Gatorade bath. He's talking to the player, trying to get it released. And then he ducks it once. They try to get what's left. Get him again. He ducks it again. Pretty good.
Chuck Amato still spry, making it happen. And the NC State Wolfpack, congratulations. And the man who is still dry is standing by with Heather Mitts. Heather?
Coach, 6 sacks, and you're the first team to ever hold USF scoreless. What do you have to say about your defense's performance today?
We've been doing this for the last 6 games, a dominating type defense, and we knew we were that good at the beginning of the year, and it all goes that the front has been awesome. They really have, and they played their butts off today.
You won the last 5 out of 6 games. What can you say about the resiliency of your team?
It just shows the character. How you doing, buddy? The character that these kids had, being 2-4, and the way they just wouldn't quit. And it shows that young men really have a lot of fight in them.
Great, Coach. Enjoy your new year, and congratulations.
I will.
Thank you, Heather. Heck, it's been a heck of a season for the NC State Wolfpack. They win to improve to 7-5 on the season. The final score, 14-0. They pitch a shutout against the South Florida Bulls. For Andre Ware, Heather Mitts, and our entire ESPN2 crew, want to say thank you so much for watching. We've had a blast here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Coming up next, we're going to go to the college football studio where Dave Revson is standing by.